ESPN is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m. on Wednesday, November 1st. Today in Baton Rouge, expect cloudy skies with a high of 58. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 1 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, Peter said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, and welcome into OTB here on a Wednesday morning. Jake, Mario, and Taylor, no T-Bob. The shingles have gotten the best of T-Bob, not feeling great. And so hopefully T-Bob can be back tomorrow or Friday. So we wish him well as he's sitting there at home. Unfortunately, again, with the shingles. And, you know, it's LSU Alabama week. And so, you know, it kills T not to be here. So hopefully we can get him back in studio tomorrow. And it is LSU Alabama week. And so obviously we have a lot to get to. We've got some more Connor Stallions reporting to do because that is a story that continues to grow legs. And it has about 73 different branches on this story, and every single day we get a new branch. So we have that. The Raiders have fired their head coach. They did it, I believe, at 1 a.m. Maybe it was midnight. Depends on what time zone you were in. Either way, Josh McDaniels, he is out as the Raiders head coach. And, of course, we have a college football playoff ranking to get to. But, as we do every day, before we get there, fellas, how y'all feeling?
Doing good, man. Had a good Halloween. I was pretty pleased with all of our costumes. I thought we did a good job.
Yeah, it's one of those costumes where maybe if you didn't know exactly what we were doing, you couldn't appreciate it. But I thought everybody did a really nice job of dressing up as one another. And we see each other every day, so we probably felt like it was a better job than anybody else is going to give us credit for. But I think everybody did a great job.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed T-Bob's little catchphrases that he did throughout the show because, like, it's stuff that I've never said, but, you know, that's typical T-Bob fashion. I did enjoy it.
So salty.
I didn't catch any of those. I don't know who you're referring to.
When he opened the show, he goes, a dip can just magically popped up in my back pocket. I was like, T-Bob, I don't dip, but I appreciate it. LP Bob, he was on it yesterday.
Yes, he only used LP Bob one time. I thought that was going to be something we heard multiple times. So what did we do last night for Halloween? Did we stay in? I know you went to the Pelicans game the other night dressed up, Mark.
Yeah, no, I actually went trick-or-treating with my girlfriend and her kid. It was the first time I went trick-or-treating since 2005, and I honestly really enjoyed it. It was a good time.
I handed out candy. I didn't get home until about 6:45, but I caught the last hour of it. It was a good time. A little cold outside, but
now you seem like someone, because how much you enjoy scary movies. Yeah. It's like a passion for you.
Yeah.
You did the whole Jigsaw deal there for Halloween. Like, you feel like somebody that was trying to scare trick-or-treaters and not just give them candy.
If I wouldn't have had to have done AFR, I would have. Like,
okay.
So I didn't get home until about 6:45. I was halfway over at that point. I wanted to do the little, like, table where the candy is, but, like, my head's underneath it type of thing, you know? Because that's a scary sight in itself. Like, that would have been a good one, but nah, I mean,
especially if you'd had your hair still pushed forward like Mario.
I just handed out candy in jeans and a sweatshirt, but it's fun.
That did not look right on
Taylor made his good Mario, man. And by the way, there was a guy dressed as Pennywise in the neighborhood that I was in yesterday, and he was just scaring the crap out of little kids. It was honestly kind of funny.
Did Moscona dress up for Halloween?
No, he did not.
No.
Guessing Musso didn't either.
If Matt didn't, Musso didn't either. That's pretty much on point there. So just a button up.
Yeah. Well, no, he had a. It was like a sweatshirt thing, but it was striped. So
okay,
not a
well,
button up, but
that's outside the
like
norm.
He had like a Kind of like what I was wearing yesterday after the show, a little like sweatshirt.
Well, maybe that was his Halloween
Maybe it was.
costume there. All right, let's dive into these college football playoff rankings because they came out last night. And, of course, our opening segment is always brought to you by Skull Axe Throwing. Go check them out. They are over on Lee Drive. You'll see it. It's right there to the right of Mike Anderson's. And no matter what you've got going on, if you've got an event that you want to host people, if you just want to go for a date night, girls' night, whatever it is, go check that out, man. They are opening, I believe today, actually, is that opening day that we've been telling you about every single day leading up to it. GCAxe.com is that website. Again, Skull Axe Throwing. Check it out. Bringing you the opening segment here on OTB every single day. All right, initial college football playoff rankings. Now, we know a lot of times this doesn't really mean a whole lot. In fact, if you are the number one team here in this initial ranking, you probably aren't very happy about it because it means you're not going to win a national championship. In the initial 2014 college football playoff ranking, Mississippi State was number 1. Ole Miss was number 4, if you'll remember that year. Last year, I believe Tennessee was number 1 in the initial ranking. And so a lot of times you get whatever team is hot. You get a team that has a couple of marquee victories. It is based on resume, certainly in this initial ranking. And so Georgia, who is clearly the number 1 team in the country according to the AP and coaches poll, they actually come in at number 2. And your top 4 is as follows. You have Ohio State number 1, Georgia number 2, Michigan number 3, Florida State comes in at number 4. Any surprise, fellas, with how that order played out?
I mean, slightly surprised about Ohio State. That just kind of jumps off the page. But looking at the resume objectively, I totally understand the wins over Notre Dame and Penn State, where they looked pretty dominant. Not super surprising, but definitely a statement for them to be number 1.
I like it. I think the committee actually got this one correct. If you want to look at just resume, I mean, they got a win over Penn State. They got a win over Notre Dame. That's better than any team that Michigan's played. I mean, Michigan's looks great. Their best win right now is probably Rutgers. I mean, that's not great. I actually would have put Florida State over Michigan if you're going by just teams they played. Florida State has a win over LSU. They got a win over Duke. They got a win over Clemson. I understand Clemson's not great, but, I mean, those 3 games, to me, that's more impressive than what Michigan's done.
The Pac-12 getting left out of the top 4 was a storyline for me as well. Washington comes in at 5. Oregon comes in at 6. Now, Oregon is the top 1-loss team here in the rankings. They actually go ahead of Texas. A lot of people thought maybe Texas would come in at number 6, but it's actually the Oregon Ducks. Washington, great win. Actually, if you look at the playoff rankings, the best win in the country because their win against Oregon, and Oregon is that top 1-loss team. So you're telling me they had the best win, but they've had a couple of close ones. And I was a little surprised that Washington got left out because we feel like the Pac-12 has been so strong this year. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, at times there's been 8 ranked teams. There's been 6 ranked teams. There's really been 5 for a majority of the year, but the Pac-12, they get left out. Now, you could say, well, who would you have left out? That we don't know. We were wondering, would Georgia and or Michigan get punished because of their schedule? I think Georgia and what they did to Florida, what they did to Kentucky, that probably went a long way with the committee. And no, you're not supposed to look at what happened in years past. So you're not supposed to be able to say, well, wait a minute, hold up. They're the back-to-back national champion. Of course we're going to put them there. Remember, in college football playoff rankings, last year is not supposed to mean anything. And so based off resume, right, if we're basing it off resume, well, Georgia's best win is going to be Kentucky. Washington's best win, again, is going to be Oregon, who you're telling me is the number 1-loss team in the country. So that is the best win because that's how that works. And so I was, I guess, a little surprised that Washington was sitting there at number 5. Again, though, I don't know who you would replace them with, but Washington is going to have every opportunity to jump a lot of these teams considering what their schedule is coming up. Any surprise for Washington in the Pac-12? I guess in some way not getting a lot of love in Washington, but they do get the love in Oregon.
I'll say no, just because of what you mentioned. Like, they probably should have lost 2 weeks ago, and then they didn't look good this past week as well. They had to have a comeback win. Penix has fallen off a little bit. I mean, he's playing well, but he's turning the ball over a lot. I guess, because they say Well, resume is part of it, strength and schedule is part of it, but eye test is another part. And the last couple weeks, their eye test hasn't been great, so I could see why they're at 5.
Yeah, the game at USC this weekend could be pretty telling. Good opportunity for a bounce back. They've looked not great the last couple of weeks, despite squeaking by Arizona State and Stanford.
If I'm Washington, I'm using this as motivation. I am trying to make sure that everyone knows that I feel like I should be a team that is certainly in the top 4. If you're telling me that I've got the best win there in the country. All right, obviously, where does LSU fall? Well, LSU comes in at number 14. Now, some people were upset because Missouri comes in at number 12, and we'll give you here 7 Texas, 8 Alabama, 9 Oklahoma, 10 Ole Miss, 11 Penn State, 12 Mizzou, 13 Louisville, and 14 LSU. Well, Missouri has 1 loss, and that's why they are 2 spots ahead of you. Yes, you beat them, but you have 1 more loss than Mizzou does. Now Mizzou's got Georgia coming up this weekend, so we'll certainly see. So let's dive into where LSU is and what they can do when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. Go check out the website today, no matter what you've got going on. If you're buying new, if you're leasing, if you are renting, they've got everything available for you. So we always tell you, certainly like if you're buying a new vehicle, right? They have everything available, but you can customize that Toyota. So however you want it, whatever you want to add, whatever you want to take away, right? There's features on this vehicle that you're like, wait a minute, I'm not going to use that. Well, you can actually take that away. You customize that vehicle to however you want it. That's how T ends up with the Murdered Out Mini. So go check that feature out, top left corner of the website. Now, leasing, T-Bob and I both take full advantage of that easy process. The full fleet is available in that process, just like it is in the rental department. So if you've got a trip coming up for the holidays, Thanksgiving, maybe you're going to the game this weekend in Tuscaloosa, go ahead, get that Toyota reserved today. Per day rental prices, again, everything is available. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Brian Kelly and Nick Saban update their team's preparations. Russ Mitchell previews the weekend ahead in the SEC. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in to OTB. Full disclosure, I am not sad about no more Halloween music.
Same.
That felt like a long month of spooky season and monster mashing and a lot of the same songs.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted, but definitely ran its
about
course.
October 7th.
I would have done like the week of Halloween music, maybe not the whole month. Because like you said, like some of the songs are solid, but it's like the same 12 for a month.
I like
straight.
the graphics and I like the spooky season feel in the studio. Maybe we maybe we bring it to a vote next year.
Good idea.
Maybe the week of October. Because look, I mean, who doesn't want to hear some Boosie when you've got LSU and Alabama playing this week? And as we left you in the first segment, updating you on the college football's initial CFP ranking, LSU coming in at number 14. A lot of people are going to take this and be like, all right, what's the path for LSU to find their way back? There's still a lot of football to be played out there. And Taylor, you were mentioning potentially a way that the SEC gets left out of the college football playoff.
Yeah, they do. Because like we were looking at the rankings and you got Georgia sitting there, but let's say LSU runs the table, but then they beat Georgia in the SEC championship. The winner of Ohio State, Michigan, you got to believe is going to go. If Florida State stays undefeated, they're going to go. The winner of Washington-Oregon rematch is going to go. And then, I mean, if there's a one-loss Texas who has wins over Alabama and Oklahoma, and they're a one-loss Big 12 champ, I imagine they would go over Georgia as well. So, I mean, there's a way that the SEC could get left out if LSU does run the table.
Yeah, and some of it depends on, like, if you're Texas. Oklahoma needs to continue to win out. You need to face them with only one loss, because if they lose in Bedlam this weekend, then, that loss is going to look different. And so there's a lot of different ways that it certainly could play out. Of the top four teams, though, again, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State, which one do we think has the most likely chance to be in the college football playoff undefeated?
I would go Florida State. There's not a ton left on their schedule. I mean, the ACC's down anyways this year. Riley Leonard's still banged up at Duke. Clemson's not what we thought they were going to be, and they've already played both those teams anyway. So I think it's Florida State.
Yeah, I agree. They finished the season at Pitt versus Miami versus North Alabama, and then at Florida. That's a pretty favorable schedule.
It is. I think it is. There could be some tricky games, and Louisville in the ACC championship game, if they continue to win, that could be certainly a situation where Florida State, because Florida State, although they do feel like the most likely to stay undefeated, they also feel like the most likely to have to be undefeated because of what the ACC is. Now, they have the win over LSU. That looks like it's still going to hold up. The Clemson win, well, that's going the other way, certainly 2-4 in conference play. Duke without a healthy Riley Leonard, right? That win's not going to probably hold up as much as it would. So it does feel like Florida State's the best of both worlds. Yes, they have a likely chance to go undefeated, but also they can't afford a loss. They're out.
Yeah,
it almost feels like if they have a loss.
For sure, even with the win against LSU.
So as we're looking at this initial CFP ranking, anything else before we move on jump out to y'all?
The fact that...
What about Ole Miss beating over Penn State?
Yeah, that's one that jumps out to me. Also, Ole Miss being below Missouri. I mean, look, we've talked about Missouri a lot. Missouri's got some big wins. I know Ole Miss has looked good, but I know they talk about eye test, and I don't like the eye test because I think it's just such like a opinion. It's like, oh, well, I think this team's better, but if that's something they really go by, I mean, eye test Missouri's been a little bit more impressive than Ole Miss.
Yeah, Missouri's been good, man. I'm curious to watch them against Georgia. I don't think they necessarily win the game, but I think they could be really frisky and end up with a really good bowl destination by the end of the season.
But that's one of those teams where it's like the LSU game may have been a factor in that because LSU lost to Ole Miss head-to-head. Missouri lost to LSU, and Ole Miss beats LSU. So, I mean, maybe that was the deciding factor.
Yeah, it certainly could be. And again, this initial CFP ranking is always pretty funny because of the way it ends up and where all these teams end up. But Ohio State getting that number one nod, no real surprise there. And we're about to find out, certainly there in the Big Ten. It starts a little bit. It started with Penn State, Ohio State. You've got Penn State, Maryland, although that's lost a little bit because Maryland loses to Northwestern. But you're about to have Michigan play all three of those teams there in the East, and it certainly could get interesting. Now, LSU, who comes in at number 14, Alabama at number 8. It doesn't feel like a 14 versus 8 game we had this weekend in Tuscaloosa. It feels much bigger than that. And you could say, well, obviously, it's LSU and Alabama. It's always going to feel like that. And yes, there is some portion of that, but I think for different reasons. For Alabama, it's, okay, well, they had an early season loss to Texas. They certainly didn't look good against South Florida. They've had some time. Arkansas, they didn't look good. But at the end of the day, they're winning games. And so for Alabama, in their perspective, they're trying to, which seems crazy, kind of earn a lot of respect, saying, hey, no, we're still Alabama. It might not look like it's looked in our dominant seasons, but we still have every opportunity because they do. Alabama's certainly going to get that benefit of the doubt if it comes down to it. If they keep winning games, if they get to Atlanta, if they play Georgia in an SEC championship game and they get that victory, make no mistake about it, Alabama will get the benefit of the doubt because, look, they've been a standard of college football, so it makes sense. And then, LSU in that game last year, losing the way you did, LSU storms the field, you lose in overtime. That's something that Alabama, obviously, they don't want that to happen. Again, they don't lose in back-to-back years to the same team, certainly to the same starting quarterback, right? Outside of Jordan Jefferson, who, by a technicality, doesn't get this nod. We told you yesterday, Drew Brees at Purdue, when Coach Saban was at Michigan State, the last starting quarterback to beat Nick Saban in back-to-back years. It doesn't happen very often. So all of those things put together for Alabama. And then for LSU, it's a Bama game, right? It is a situation a year ago, remember how that felt like. And because Alabama has put themselves as the standard, a pillar, whatever you want to say, of college football, I mean, they're the only school in the last 2 decades that has more national championships than you. And they've got a lot of them, right? So they are standing in your way. And you want to get to a point with Brian Kelly where you are playing this game every single year with the confidence that you are going to go win that game. There's a long time that confidence went away. Even if you're being true to yourself, purple and gold glasses, the whole deal. Like, this was a game that you're like, oh man, I don't know. We're going to play our best. Well, last year proved that you can go out there and you can win this game. You can go toe to toe with the Heisman Trophy winning Bryce Young. You can go toe to toe with the number 3 overall pick, Will Anderson, and you can be successful in this game. And in fact, you can win this game. So there's a different confidence level for LSU. So yes, they're 14, but it can mean so much to where this program continues to grow to with the victory on the road in Tuscaloosa. And you've been more successful for whatever reason in this series on the road. So, yeah, it's going to be loud. It's going to be an environment that is not comfortable, but it's an environment that you've had success in, including the last time you went there when you were a bad football team. You were not a great football team, right? Your coach had already been let go, who was still coaching the game, but like decisions had already been made. And you went in there and you threw a pass into the end zone with a chance to take down Alabama, right? So you have lived up, you've played up to this game in recent memory, and that's what you have to do in this contest. And you're going to have advantages. You're going to have the better quarterback here. And I think Milroe's a really good player. I think he does a lot of good things for that team. He fits what they need. Jaden Daniels is better, right? You've got the receiver matchup. I would say you have the offensive line and running back matchup. So offensively, you're going to have some advantages. We all know what this game's going to come down to. It's going to come down, though, can you get the stops, and you're going to be playing young football players. We've heard sound from Brian Kelly over the last couple of days and weeks and who you're going to have available. But you don't have to be perfect. That's the thing that this LSU team has to realize. You do not have to be perfect. You don't have to score a touchdown on every single drive, right? You don't have to hold Alabama to 14 points on defense. That's not what this game has to be. You just have to go out there and do the things that you do really well 80% of the time, which is play a high level of offense. And then on defense, get enough stops to be able to be competitive in this game. And so we'll take a break, but when we come back, we'll dive into some of those individual matchups, position group matchups, and where we see some advantages for LSU. We just gave you a bunch for the offense. I know Nick Saban's talked about Logan Diggs and what he's added to LSU's offense because, you know, you have a quarterback that's tops in the country. You have a receiver, Malik Neighbors, that's tops in receiving yards, right? And you got the top touchdown grabber as well. And Brian Thomas, sometimes the running back maybe gets forgotten about, not just because I'm saying that, but because of what you have in the totality of your offense. We'll break down some of those matchups when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, NoelDistillery.com. NoelDistillery.com is the website. Noel Family Distillery right there in Deville. And they are the official tequila of LSU Athletics. So I know the game is not in Tiger Stadium this weekend, but as soon as they hop back, you've got the games against Florida and Georgia State and A&M. You will see the signage all over the place, and you will see it available in Tiger Stadium. And they are going everywhere. And certainly it's the tequilas that T-Bob tells you about very often that he enjoys on whiskey and wine, but it's so much more than that. Rums, tequila, vodka as well. And we told you about last week the canned cocktails, right? We all know how popular those are, and you won't be disappointed. Multiple flavors as well. The lime, you have strawberry, you have grapefruit, so many different options, so many different things that they can do for you. They can host your event. You can go check a tour out of Noel as well. Check all of that online, NoelDistillery.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is celebrating Ram Power Days with $15,000 off MSRP on new 23 1500 trucks, $15,000 off, and a 1 million mile warranty. Plus, we'll pay your trade off regardless of what you owe. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Join us for the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch from Roca Pizzeria on Government Street in Mid-City. Randy McKay will be with us along with Scott Rabelais and Wes Reynolds. Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB. We had a question come across, and it was asking about the group of 5 team that would be in the new 12-team playoff if this was the system we're going to have in place next year, and that would be the Tulane Green Wave. They would be number 12. They would be in the college football playoff, even though they come in at number 24. Now, Air Force right behind them at 25, and they would certainly be in the running for that as well. So, college football playoff. If it was next year, Tulane would be in the initial CFP ranking as far as a team that would be playing in it. They would be playing against Washington and Seattle.
Wow. Even this year, curious to see where they'd be if, in a different world where Pratt would have played against Ole Miss and maybe they win that game.
Played well in that game. I mean, the final score of that's not indicative of what that game was.
Yeah, and with your backup quarterback too.
Yeah. So, and some of the other matchups you'd have Oregon hosting Penn State. You'd have Texas hosting Ole Miss. You'd have Alabama hosting Oklahoma. Again, and I'm not going to go too deep into a 12-team playoff, something we're not going to get until next year, but how do you not see that? Here are those matchups. Again, right? Even if you take Washington and Tulane out of it because that makes you mad that a group of 5 teams getting there at number 12. On campus in Eugene, Oregon, you're going to have Oregon hosting Penn State. Now, that's going to be a conference matchup next year, which doesn't seem still real, but still, it's Oregon, Penn State. In Austin, Texas, you would have another conference matchup. Texas hosting Ole Miss. And then, because let's keep a common theme here, another conference matchup, Alabama hosting Oklahoma. But still, I mean, those are huge brands. And those are games that you would not normally get. So, I mean, again, there's still some people out there that don't want a 12-team playoff. But those are some marquee matchups with some big brands. All right, let's dive into this Alabama-LSU matchup some more. We talked about Logan Diggs, right? We talked about, him a little bit being forgotten what he's doing for this offense because you have the number 1 receiver in yards. You have the number 1 receiver in touchdowns, and we're talking about in the country. You've got the quarterback that's playing better than any quarterback in the country, but Logan Diggs has added something to this LSU offense. Here's Nick Saban on Logan Diggs.
Really powerful lower body. Breaks tackles, good one cut runner, can make you miss. But this guy makes a tremendous amount of yards after contact, and he is physical.
And he has certainly been that. And this is a backfield that we spent a lot of time in the offseason talking about how it was going to be a by committee because you had Josh Williams, you had John Emery, you had Caleb Jackson, you had Noah Cain. I mean, Trey Holly was somebody that was coming in, didn't expect a lot, but he was a very talented back coming out of high school, and Logan Diggs has really taken this job and just run with it. Now, that's not to say that other guys haven't played well. In fact, Josh Williams, 19 carries, 161 yards, 8.5 yards per carry. So, I mean, he's played well, but it's hard to take Logan Diggs out of the game because of what he is doing, right? He's averaging 6 yards a carry, right at 6 yards a carry. He's got over 600 yards rushing, and he brings a physical nature to his, to his running style. Like, he wants to finish going forward, getting that extra yard, and he's brought a physicality to this offense. And I don't know how y'all felt, but I felt like it was going to be a by committee. I didn't think any running back would certainly have 105 carries as the leader, and then you got to go 19, 20, 20, and 22 for the other backs.
Man, yeah, Diggs has been the lead guy recently, but like you said, it's not like the other guys have played poorly. I mean, it feels good to have that kind of depth at that position, especially going into a game like this.
Well, it's one of those things, like we were talking about at the beginning of the year. Hey, you don't have one dominant running back in this backfield. You got a bunch of, pretty good guys that are going to split it. That's not the case anymore. I mean, this running back room kind of reminds me of the Alabama running back room right now with you have a guy, Jason McClellan. He's kind of your bell cow back. He's the guy that's going to get the majority of the carries. You got Justice Haynes coming in. You got Roydell Williams coming in. It's kind of the same thing with a Josh Williams, a John Emery, spelling him, not necessarily splitting the touches, but getting a little bit of a change of pace. But Logan Diggs has grabbed a hold of this running back room.
Yeah, and Caleb Jackson's been really limited in his touches, and I know Brian Kelly's been kind of really modest talking about him, but y'all can't tell me he doesn't pop like most of the times he touches the ball. You definitely see the potential with him.
He does. I mean, he's somebody that he's got 20 for 107, 5.3 yards per carry. There's an explosive nature, to say the least, about his running style, and he's going to be a really good player, I think, for a long time for LSU. And that, all these backs are different backs, and that's one thing that you do have the luxury of having, because if you're going to play multiple backs, like, you don't want 4 of the same mold. Like, you want to have some different options depending on what they can do. Like Caleb Jackson, he did. He came in the Ole Miss game. He dropped that pass into the flats, and he went away for a little bit, but he's worked himself back into the rotation, which is nice.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he gets more touches here. I mean, you got to give him something you can't expect, right? I mean, you can't just go on the script here.
And remember last year, it's a good point, Mario. Last year, they did do that. It's really the first time we saw that triple option of RPO where Jaden could give it, he could pull it, he could also throw it into the flats to Mason Taylor. And they used that a ton in that game against Alabama, and then it stayed as a staple of the offense. And so you do have a bye week, right? You have a bye week situation. I get 6 ready here from Saban Sound, Mario. And every single year leading into this game, we used to wonder, like, who's going to win the bye week? Here is Nick Saban talking about a successful bye week.
You want your players to enjoy their time off, but you also want them to be focused and ready to go when they come back. There's a balance in all that. You can't dissipate and go not eat right and do the right things while you're off. You can still enjoy yourself, but you also can stay focused on what you need to do when you come back. And I think that's combination and balance and all that. Balance in life is important in about everything that you do. So that kind of balance can create very positive results for you when you come back and you're ready to go. If you didn't think about your job, what your responsibility is, 1 minute for 3 days, you're probably not going to benefit very much from the time you had off.
Yeah, bye weeks always, it's different every year because you play a different opponent typically. And typically that's how it works out. But for LSU and Alabama, I mean, this has been a staple. This has been a bye week that has been put in place for a very, very long time. And so it is different. No disrespect to any other team, but if you're playing Vanderbilt, your bye week's probably going to feel a little bit different. Maybe you do some different things. Maybe your attention to detail is a little bit different. But if you go to LSU or if you go to Alabama, you play for one of these teams, you realize what this bye week has to be. Yes, you get some days off. That does not mean you do not think about this game, right? And now, certainly with the ability to have everything on an iPad or right at your fingertips on your phone or whatever, like, it is a game that you're always preparing for. And for so long, it felt like a game that Alabama had a massive advantage in the bye week. It did. It felt like their coaches were going to come up with a game plan that you weren't going to be ready for, and you were going to do more of the same, right? I mean, we all saw, hey, they got an 8-man box. We're going to run toss dive right into that 8-man box, and we're not going to adjust to it. I mean, how many years did it feel like that? Well, you no longer have that feeling, right? Last year, you came out and you were the team that had a new wrinkle that they were not ready for. And so it is going to be a different bye week every single year. Now with LSU, with a new staff handling that bye week different. Here is Brian Kelly on how LSU used their bye week.
I think it was important for us to do some self-scouting, some things that we needed to work on. I think it was important that, from a technical standpoint, we continue to grow technically in some areas on both sides of the ball. And then, you still want to meet a workload, criteria because, you just can't continue to go through the season and then all of a sudden, put up a stop. So we got to about 70% of our average workload last week and gave the guys some active rest over the weekend. And then they reported last night and we're back to work today.
If you're LSU football, fellas, so I'm going to get you to put on the headset. If you're LSU football, you've had this bye week. What's one thing that you're working on the most internally for a self-scout? And then what's the one thing you think you're working on the most when it comes to Alabama?
I think self-scouting is just getting the guys to kind of play within the structure of the defense specifically. I guess you could say the same thing about offense, but I remember specifically the Arkansas game against KJ Jefferson. A lot of people were really worried about KJ running. They tried to do other people's jobs. Just be a little bit more disciplined, man. Trust the coaches. Go back to what you were talking about. You've had extra time to prepare for this game. You've seen improvement, yes, against Auburn and Army, but you've seen improvement. You should play with more confidence. Just play better within the framework of the defense and trust your coaches. That's what I would self-scout the most.
As far as self-scouting, first off, you got to find out who your starting corners are. I think that's number one. Also, as far as Alabama goes, like scouting for them, I want to get the tight ends and running backs involved a little bit more in the passing game. Alabama has really good outside corners. I kind of feel like their safeties and linebackers, not that they're bad, it just might be the weak point of that defense. Somebody's got to cover those running backs and tight ends out in the flats. That kind of falls down to the safeties and linebackers. I feel like you have an advantage there with your backs and tight ends, so that's something I'd maybe look at.
Yeah, and get Kelly 11 ready here, Mario, because I agree with Mario too. Like defensively, like playing within the structure of the defense, because you are who you are, certainly at this point. But LSU, even in the weeks that they have played better, they're a quarters team and they're a cover 3 team. That's who they are. That is who they're going to be. In fact, like those numbers have actually gone up over the last couple of weeks when a lot of people are like, oh, man, yeah, they're changing things up. No, not really. They're actually doing more of the same. They're just playing better. They're understanding their responsibility, right? If I'm playing quarters, I'm playing quarters. I'm not playing halves. And you have to understand that. And it seems so elementary, but if you go back to where LSU defensively got into trouble, they had guys floating in coverage. You can't float in coverage. If I'm in coverage, I've got a responsibility, whatever that is. Whatever my landmark is, well, that's where I have to go, and it has to be definitive because the guy next to me has to know that I've got my area covered, right? I'm not floating in there because then the next guy's like, oh, well, hell, am I in the right spot? Am I doing the right thing? I mean, you're in your coverage lane, but you're kind of also in mine, and I don't really know where to go. And then there becomes what? There becomes a gap in coverage. And that's what you saw a lot there early in the season for LSU. It does look like they have cleaned some of those things up. Now, with me saying that, you're going to have new. You're going to have new in there. You're going to have young guys. You're going to have guys that Brian Kelly said it. Like, we played that sound yesterday. They know what they're doing by now. They've been here in the spring. They've been here now 8 weeks. They've been here in fall. So they understand the assignment. And we're going to find out because that is going to be key. And, again, it seems so simple. But when you have young players, like if you're playing at LSU, certainly if you're recruited like these guys were, you're talented. You've got the talent to do it. But one thing you worry about with young players on the road is not only do you know the assignment, did you hear the assignment? Did you hear the check? Did you get the hand signal? Because it's loud as hell here in Bryant-Denny. Like, are we on the same page? I mean, it happens to veteran players as well, but certainly young players. Hey, if we're playing, and I'll stick with what we're talking about, if we're playing quarter halves, and don't worry about that. We'll draw that up one day. And that's what we're playing. Okay, well, did the half side get that call? Are they playing quarters over there as well, and then this side's playing something different? Or, like we've seen, you got 10 guys playing cover 6. That's basically what quarter halves is, depending on some people call it 8. But, okay, well, did you get the full call? Because we have seen guys that 10 guys got that call, 1 guy didn't. And so those are some of the things as young players that you have to be able to make sure you go out there and handle, right? It's going to be loud. There's going to be a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on, but the call has to be the call, and you have to play Well, you guessed it, the call, because that's when you get into trouble. So that is something for me that it seems so day one install easy. But again, you're kind of hitting reset at the corner position. So day one install easy, if you have a bye week, needs to be something that you go over multiple times. And I think Jalen Milroe, somebody that, if we're going to the, just once you got the assignment portion of it, who are you going against? Like him as a quarterback and his growth and how he's played this year and how LSU handles that is going to be important. Now, you played a better quarterback last year against Alabama and won, and Bryce Young. But Jalen Milroe brings different things to the table. Here is Brian Kelly on Jalen Milroe and his evolution.
I think at first there was this sense that he was just going to run all over the place, right? This is going to be a running quarterback. But he's not. I mean, he is a threat to run. There's no doubt about that. And he can go from 0 to 60 as well as anybody. But he's going to stand in the pocket. He's going to throw the football. And the way they create offense is through a balance of running the football, formationing you so you can get some shots down the field. And he throws the ball well. I mean, he throws the ball well. And he can hit the open targets. He can push the ball down the field. And so I think what he's done really well is when he's been given the opportunity to take shots down the field, he's hooked up. He hasn't missed receivers. And I think that's been impressive.
Murray inside the chat, you're my guy, but he said it's not hard just to say 2, 3, 4 or man to the DBs on defense. Come on, Murray, man. You know better than that. You know ball. I mean, think about how many different variations there is of 2. Cover 2 man, and so many different variations of these coverages. And there's robber situations that, yes, it's the same coverage for a majority of the team, but the robber situation changed. There's Tampa too. I mean, there's so many different variations of just one coverage, and it's not just man or zone, right? And so those are the things that you've got to get communicated, and those are the things that you have to make sure, again, that all 11 are on the same page. You can't just yell out a coverage. I mean, you yell at a coverage, I mean, there's going to be a Connor Stallion somewhere also that picks that up, and then you're in trouble. And don't worry, we'll talk about that later. But as far as Jalen Milroe goes, he has gotten much better. And he is the quarterback for this Alabama team because it gets chaotic in the backfield for Alabama. This offensive line is not your typical Alabama offensive line, and in the middle they kind of struggle as well. And they were supposed to be solidified up there with the all-conference center. It has not been the case, and he thrives a little bit in the chaos. And he's not somebody that's looking to run first. That is not who he is, but he's looking to buy time to make the play. And if Ty Simpson was back there, like we saw against South Florida, he's a statue, right? And he needs a good offensive line because that's the style of quarterback that he is. So Milroe's the guy for Alabama, certainly this year, that gives them the best chance to win, and he's only getting better.
Yeah, to your point, he's gotten better throughout the year. And going back to that USF game, I think benching him was big. It was significant. I'll go ahead and give Saban a lot of credit for that, seeing the game from that point of view. And like you said, when Simpson and Buckner went in there, they were not better. So I think that was very intentional by Nick Saban.
You mentioned the Alabama offensive line, right? There's been one game this year, their best performance, they gave up 2 sacks. Yep. Every other game, it's been at least 4 sacks. Now, that. You can look at that and be like, well, that's a mismatch, but let's call it like it is. LSU's defensive line is not great at rushing the passer. Their run stuffing, they've been really good at that. And you're like, oh, well, you lose Mekhi Wingo. Jordan Jefferson's not that great at rushing the passer either. But I think that quarterback spy, whoever it is it Omar Speights, is it Harold Perkins or whatever, them getting into the face of Jalen Milroe is going to be the most important because, like you mentioned, he's a guy that needs to buy time. If he can't buy time, then that young secondary is going to be able to hold up a little bit better in the back end. It's not necessarily going to come from your defensive line. So if you're Matt House, you got to get a little bit of creative and kind of disguise your blitzes, dial up something you haven't showed a lot this year because your defensive line may not be able to get it done.
Yeah, and we could talk about maybe that matchup. Who is going to spy Jalen Milroe? How often do you do it? Is it Harold Perkins, who's been the best coverage linebacker in the country, according to PFF? Is it Omar Speights, who Jalen Milroe is going to have an athletic advantage over? So, how often do you use Speights in that role? Is this a game in which we could see Whit Weeks again because he's an athletic linebacker? So let's talk about that when we come back. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, we've been telling you about Community Steel for a couple of months now, and we've been telling you about how we love that they are local, and they want you to know how local they are. So any of your steel needs, and what do I mean by that? Well, right there on the top portion of their homepage, their website, communitysteelco.com, it says Community Steel is based in Gonzales, Louisiana. They want you to know that. They want you to come see them in Gonzales, right? And so, I mean, obviously, if you have like this huge job, like they can handle that. But they want you to know they can handle anything. And even if it's a small awning that you need, they can come in, they can handle that. Metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal. So if you want to add a metal roof to your home, right? That's been something that we have seen pop up, certainly on new homes as well. Like they can handle that. Trim, they've got it all, right? And again, like you can go see them today. They're already open. Early bird gets the worm. So they're already there waiting on you. But if you can't get there today, 225-647-2020.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you.
104.5 this Sunday to catch 3 different NFL games. We start with the noon kickoff, the Seahawks at Ravens. Immediately following that, it's the Cowboys and Eagles. And then our night game, the Bills at Bengals. Catch all of those games here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
One of the comments inside the Bayou 4 chat, well, I mean, do you have to have complicated coverages when you've got young players like they're not ready for all that? Look, you're still playing high-level college football. Like, they know the coverages. Just communicating those coverages, allowing the player to understand the moment, take that coverage, and then play that coverage, right? Hear the call, play the call. It's one of the things that we talked about all the time in the locker room, even at the NFL level. Like, get the call, play the call. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's on you to get that because, look, the last thing you want to do is just come into a situation where, I mean, you're bland and you only have, like, 2 things up. Like, yes, they are a quarters and cover 3 team. They're still going to play other coverages. They're going to roll them in there. And so, no, I don't think you want to go into this game, playing safe or playing not to lose. That is not how you go into a place like Tuscaloosa and get a victory there. So, before we move on, did y'all tell Coach Saban happy birthday yesterday?
I did not.
No?
No.
No.
I think it's very fitting that his birthday's on Halloween.
It is. It is. He actually talked about this and what playing a good game would mean for his birthday gift.
Game's the most important thing. That would be an outstanding birthday present if we could play well in this game. And so that's what I'm focused on, and that's what, we're really, trying to do.
Has Coach Saban ever truly celebrated a birthday?
Absolutely not. Well, I mean, after like the age of 10, no.
Mario?
Probably not, but that 90th birthday party's going to be lit.
All right. We'll be back talking Connor Stallions in hour number 2 of OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right. Go to patientplusuc.com, patientplusuc.com. And remember, if you're scheduling that appointment, you can do it on that website. You can do it online. Walk-ins are always welcome. But Patient Plus is there for you in those little unexpected moments. There is going to be a location that is near you, regardless of where you are in the Baton Rouge area. We tell you that every single day because, well, it's fact. And then it's going to be open 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And sometimes even I forget that. I told you a couple of weeks ago, I'm driving to my son's football game. It's like we got done with the flag game. We're going to the tackle game. It's almost 8 o'clock, and I drive by a Patient Plus, and there they are open with, people walking into the door because they understand that most times when things happen, it's not a convenient time. That's why they want to be that ultimate convenience for you. And remember, you can go find all those locations, by the way, on that website as well. Walk-ins welcome. Again, you can schedule online. You can do so many different things on that website, patientplusuc.com. Patient Plus. Get in and get better.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is celebrating Ram Power Days with $15,000 off MSRP on new 23 1500 trucks, $15,000 off, and a 1 million mile warranty. Plus, we'll pay your trade-off regardless of what you owe. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Good morning, everybody. It is 8 a.m. on Wednesday, November 1st. Today in Baton Rouge, expect cloudy skies with a high of 58. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of OTB. This feels like old hanging with Hester times because I'm sitting here. It's 1 minute past when maybe he'll be here and there's no Matt Flynn. So, like, this used to be something that I dealt with a lot. Like, okay, well, am I going to have a co-host or not today? And it feels about right that it's 1 minute past and I guess Flynn's not coming. I think we all assume he's not.
Did he send you another traffic picture?
No. If I get a traffic picture, which I used to get a lot, that just meant he was going to be late probably.
Yeah.
But if I hear nothing, that means he ain't coming.
Yeah.
Oh!
Whoa, freezing cold takes.
He walks in. I was just hammering you. We have no microphone set up.
What's up, Flynn?
I love being wrong right now because I was just saying this felt like old hanging with Hester times in which I would sit here and hope that you would be here, but you weren't going to be here probably. And then I didn't get the traffic picture. So if I get the traffic picture, it meant you were going to be late, but you were going to be here. Typically when I don't hear anything from you, sir, that's usually not good. It's not a good time. I mean, no microphone. Taylor's here. We're on camera setting you up. I am so glad to see vested up.
Mic check.
Oh, it's not even on.
That's my bad. Try again.
Mic check.
What's up?
Hey.
Definitely didn't think I'd see you today.
I didn't think you were expecting me to come because I think I was listening to the show. You ended the last segment.
Yeah.
Saying somebody else was calling in, I think.
Yeah. Well, we'll push Ross Jackson maybe back a little bit now.
See, you can't blame me. You didn't even expect me to come.
No, fully didn't. I'm telling you that. And also, I think I actually teased that we were going to talk Connor Stallions because that is a flustering topic if I've ever heard one.
Connor Stallions?
Yeah. He's the Michigan spy.
Oh, yeah. Sign stealer guy.
Yeah, okay. So
we know his name?
We've known his name. You don't know his name. You're just finding out for the first time?
I'm going to sit for a second.
That's okay. Yeah, you seem out of breath.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard. I saw, is he the guy with the glasses?
Yeah.
Do you think were those like Google glasses or whatever? They had the little camera in them?
Like Tony Stark, Iron Man.
Well, they had to have had a camera, right? When that there was like a blue dot on the glasses?
See, I knew you would have like deep detail, even more than I would, about Connor Stallions because the latest, and we were talking about it earlier, like this is a story that just continues to grow legs. Like every single day, there's something new. It was initially he's going to games, and then it was he's recording signs, and then it was like he's giving information to South Carolina and others so they can beat Tennessee and Michigan can get into the college football playoff. And then it's like he shows up on Central Michigan's sideline and coaching gear with a sideline pass and sunglasses at night, and only Corey Hart makes that something that you can do.
Yeah, so like that I'm always usually the first person to jump on the pile when it comes to Jim Harbaugh and his dumb khakis.
Baby cakes, weak chin.
Baby cakes, no cakes, weak chin. Always said that, have since I was a little kid. I'm always the first to pile on. I love hating on him. He's just got a punchable face. But this is one of the times, this whole thing, until Sign Stealer guy showed up in the Central Michigan T-shirt, that I was actually defensive of him.
You know
for
what,
the most
though?
part, because sign stealing is a part of the game.
And on this show, on my Sirius XM show, I've used your name because you've talked about it, so I feel okay about doing it. I'm like, look, Flynn was like really good at it in the NFL. He'd walk to the other 20, he'd get your signs, and then he'd walk back and let everybody know. But that's okay. Like, you can do that.
I was a snatcher, dude.
Right, but you weren't recording.
Oh, I wasn't. So sign stealing happens.
Snatcher seems problematic.
Okay, all right.
Snatcher. Did you offer candy last night in a van with no windows?
Hey, take it easy, pal.
Jeez.
All right. It was part of the costume. No, so sign stealing is a part of the game, and it's a great part of the game. It's like it's gamesmanship. It's part of the game. I mean, why do you think in 2003, when I was a redshirt freshman, I was like the lead fake signaler? Like, we had like 3 fake signalers every play. Every sideline in college football has that.
Didn't you have a headset that was plugged into nothing?
Yeah, it's plugged into my my pants. Tucked it in.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jimbo was like, get all the backup quarterbacks, get them a headset. And they're like, do you want them to have like the box with it to be able to talk? He's like, no, just tuck it into their pants. They won't know. So yeah, we were fake singing. So I always I felt like I was a pretty intricate part of that 2003 national championship.
No doubt.
Part-time scout quarterback, full-time lead fake signaler.
So you weren't even the full-time scout quarterback.
Well, me and Jamarcus, we kind of, we split reps.
Okay.
On that scout team.
Marcus Randall get some of those too? Or was he over there with
No,
Mock?
he was with the real guys. He was with the real guys. He had to be ready.
Okay.
But no, so I love stealing signs. I love there's an art to it. There's a level of knowledge that comes with it, being able to do it good, because you can be really bad at it.
Yeah.
Like
you have to be sure.
Just because
if you're telling information,
think you're stealing signs doesn't mean you ever should or you should use it.
Right.
Like the video that came out, but okay, let me take a step back. The Michigan has taken it too far with this. You can't dress up like somebody and record. You can't record signals.
Right.
I've never even had an issue with teams sending scouts to other people's games to
it happens in high school football every week.
Steal signals, write them down, whatever. You can, or there's a lot of work that goes into making sure. There's a lot of work that goes into relaying some basic information. Like, it takes a lot of work to steal what a cover 2 signal is.
Right.
And that's pretty basic, right?
Well, so when you would get the information, like, what was your process? Like, how many years in the NFL until you felt comfortable maybe, like, saying, hey, here's what I saw and here's what I know it is?
It took me a while. It took me a couple of years to feel confident enough to put it into real-time action, I guess. I'm not going to give away all the secrets.
To relay it to somebody else that was going to use it.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of different ways, like how we would do it, and it's a lot harder in the NFL because there's headsets, right?
Yes.
But with the emergence of no huddles and a little bit muddle huddles, faster tempos, usually the middle linebacker's the guy that has the headset for the defense.
Yeah, all 2 minute on offense and defense in the NFL's hand signals.
Yeah, all 2 minute. But a lot of times just regular defense. If the DBs are not coming all the way back to the huddle, then usually there's a DB coach or somebody that's signaling to. Sometimes they'll just signal to the nearest cornerback, and that cornerback will like run over to the safety and talk to him.
Yeah.
But that is a lot of times where you could get signals, but sometimes that they were just some teams were more old school.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different ways. I remember there was a couple of games where I was getting them from the near side safety.
Yeah.
And so I would stand at the first down marker, and Aaron and I would have like some signals and stuff, and he would look at the first down marker and see me, and I would signal him what I thought the coverage was. But let me tell you this. You got to be.
That's nerve wracking though.
It's pretty. So I'm not gonna say nerve wracking, but I mean, if I miss a signal,
yeah,
and I tell them, or they start dummying me, they see me doing it, and they give me cover 2, then all of a sudden he gets strong dog, like cover 3, then like that screws up everything. So there's a risk
haven't heard
to
strong
it all.
dog in like a year, and that made me happy. Yeah.
But yeah, we had a couple teams that. The more you get into it, the more you see how, like, there's only most teams cover 2 or, 2 Tampa or quarters or blitzes. Like, a lot of them are similar signals.
Yeah.
Right? So after the more and more you do it, and then, of course, some defensive coordinators, you would kind of know what their signals were, that he'd move teams, and you had a good idea of what they would be or some version of, strumming a banjo, some form of strumming something, or whatever it is. But there's a couple teams that we knew exactly what they were playing every play, pretty much because of hand signals. Yeah.
So
change them up.
What was your hit rate? You felt like?
It depends. There was a lot of games that we thought we had a pretty good beat on it, but we didn't. I mean, even if we knew something was coming, or we knew what a signal was. Mm-hmm. We didn't always use it. Like some games were like, let's just whatever. But there's some obvious stuff.
Yeah.
Every time that a good quarterback and a good middle linebacker come up to the line of scrimmage, they are listening to each other.
Oh, yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers and Brian Urlacher used to have like the most epic, like back and forth card poker game going on. Yeah. They would dummy call. They would call each other off. Aaron would be like, not today, Brian, I got this. And he'd check it. Then Brian would be like, yeah, suck it, dude. And he would check it again. And there'd be so many snaps with like 1 or 0 seconds left on the play clock because they're just both going back and forth, changing stuff. Dummy calls. I mean, the more you get into a season, there's so many more dummy calls, fake calls.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, you don't get into that, I don't think, like in the college level. Maybe you do now. It's a little bit more intricate than when we were playing. But yeah, this all is just kind of goes back to I was very defending. I defended the Michigan thing until the whole the guy playing Halloween on Central Michigan, playing dress up.
Even the recording portion of it. I mean,
even the recording portion, but you can't be like too mad at. Sign stealing is probably one of those things in the gray area that everyone does. But some people are just better.
Why not just put a little green dot on college football players' helmets?
Yeah, it'd fix a lot.
And have communication through the.
I mean, how annoying is I've always hated the stupid sideline where there's a billion people with different colored vests on. They're holding those stupid poster boards up with stupid faces,
and then they have the sheets that are covering the signs.
It's the worst thing. Besides the clap for the silent snap count and the shotgun, I think those poster boards are the worst thing to ever happen. I hate the clap. It's
a lot of people do.
It's the worst, and everybody does it. I don't know why everyone hadn't adopted it. Yeah. Like everybody adopted it after it was terrible for a handful of teams. Anyway,
I need you to have headphones on. That'd be great because I'm gonna play some sound.
Well, you don't have any headphones.
Okay. Well, hey, let's do this. Let's take a break, and then
y'all didn't have a microphone for me.
Well, because
you had no faith in me that I would show up.
Zero.
I call that BS.
How's your core?
Mario, what are you laughing at?
How's your core right now?
Just said, "Aw, that's
How's
sad."
my core?
Yeah,
of course, warm.
How's your arms?
Cool.
Okay.
Very nice.
Just
you
wondering.
know what? It's like 20 degrees warmer in here than it usually is.
All right.
It's cold outside.
naturally.
What's happening?
Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll get Flynn some headphones. We'll do a whole radio show. Well, 45 more minutes with Flynn. He'll have headphones, a microphone, the whole situation. This really does feel like 6 to 8 hanging with Hester. We'll be back. More OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. And so no matter what you're looking for, midsize SUV, they got the 4Runner, they got the Highlander. If you're looking for something a little bit bigger, full-size SUV, they've got the Sequoia. If you want to join the minivan gang, right, like T-Bob, the MVG as he calls it, they've got the Sienna there, multiple trucks with the Tundra and the Tacoma. They've got it all, hybrids, sedans, whatever. Now, the important part to know is certainly they have that when you're buying new, but they also have it when you are leasing. They also have it when you're renting a Toyota. So everything is available and everything that they do over at All-Star Toyota. So if you have a trip coming up, like we tell you, if you're going to Tuscaloosa, if you're going out of town for Thanksgiving, for Christmas already, you want to plan ahead, you can do that as well. Check out those per-day rental prices because, again, everything's going to be available, but you need to go ahead and reserve that vehicle today. You can do it at All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti.
Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's a What If Wednesday. JD Pickell of On3 Sports, and we'll get you those SEC football power rankings. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
929, 929 Backstreet, Big City. The sun was going down, there was music all around, it felt so right. It was one of those nights when you feel the world stop.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into OTB, flustering hour here. Oh, we're actually talking like football during the break. That was weird.
I know. Hey, it's kind of weird. I hadn't sat down during the show in a while. It's nice.
Oh, because you don't have a chair typically.
That's right. Well, I got a stand-up desk now at my office.
Ooh.
One of those things that goes bzz, up, bzz, down. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it at Costco.
So shout out Costco.
Shout out.
For this show, we stand up all 3 hours typically. Like sometimes we'll sit for a segment or two. And then I do 3 more hours of radio every day. And it's like up, down, up, down, up, down a little bit. But I'm not fancy. My desk, it stays the same height. My microphone just raises up and down.
Let me tell you, change your life.
Okay.
Like, I didn't think it would. Like, I always had this like idea that, man, I'd like to be able to stand up some of the day. So I thought about like at my office getting like one like little small stand-up desk or one of those little things that your computer sits on that'll raise up and the desk stays there.
Yeah.
And then I saw those desks on at Costco, and I wanted one that was a little bit bigger because I think they sell like the 4-foot ones. So I went online and they had it pretty reasonably priced, and I treated myself. I think around my birthday, something like that, and it's changed my life. It's awesome.
Okay.
So some days I feel like standing all day.
Nothing says turning 38 like in this June when you went and got yourself a standing desk.
Watch out, people.
Did you wish Coach Saban a happy birthday yesterday?
I did not. It's also my brother-in-law's birthday.
I don't know. Well, actually, I do, but we're here talking about Coach Saban, though, so you didn't.
I hope you had a very happy birthday.
Okay, just asking. His birthday's on Halloween because sure it is.
Respect the hell out of that man.
Yeah, it is a weird deal for us, for players that played for him.
Yep.
And the reason that we're here doing this show because took a chance on a 2-star former nose guard to play running back in the SEC because everybody does that.
Sure,
yeah.
Everyone does that. Yeah,
everybody does that.
It was a fireable offense by him.
Signing
you.
If it didn't work out,
that's probably why he left because he was getting fired because of you.
That's probably true. It's probably something.
They're like, hey, save face here, Nick.
First one to start out of my class. I'm just saying.
It's an indictment.
Did I go the wrong way a couple of times in Athens that day? Probably.
Maybe sure.
Probably. They're like, yeah, Odell Thurman's going to. He was in. I'm pretty sure. Like he got arrested the week before, but he's going to play against y'all, and he's like a grown man. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Love hearing that.
That was a good game.
No.
That was a good game.
David Green was like 19 of 20 that day. We got beat bad. It's Xavier Carter took a knee on the one.
Shout out to random college quarterback name, David Green.
Yeah. Lefty.
Had some battles.
My only fumble in college because I thought I was going to run over Thomas
David
Davis.
Green?
No, not him. Thomas Davis.
Oh, I thought he stripped you.
No. He came on the field. Strip. Get out of here.
Oh,
little stubby leg fullback.
That's the only reason we lost that game. They were probably stealing our signals.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with it being 42-3 or whatever.
Can't believe we didn't fire Saban right after that game on the tarmac.
He left us anyway.
That's true.
He left us that year.
I remember that meeting. Do you remember that meeting at the Capital One Bowl?
Yeah.
The first day we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him telling us he was leaving.
And remember being at practice and him yelling at a defensive back to do something, and he's like, "You're not going to be here anyway." No.
Still a lot of balls on that DB.
Yeah, it was. That was a weird week.
That was a weird week.
I mean, just to know your coach is not going to be there.
Yeah.
He's going to the Dolphins, but he's going to coach this. Let's call it like it is. I mean, a bowl game that doesn't really mean anything in the long run. You're playing against Iowa. Ugh.
You're trying to impress your next coach,
who we thought was going to be Bobby Petrino.
Did we? I don't remember that.
I know you didn't, but yeah.
I remember being cold, practicing, and let's see how to delicately say this. Being very hungover out of practice.
Softly hungover. Softly hungover there in Orlando. All right, we got to get to this because I got to get your thoughts. We talked Connor Stallions. I mean, he did his best Bobby V. I mean, he put on the glasses and the fake mustache, it looked like, and he is out there on the sideline for a Central Michigan game. And now Central Michigan, they're investigating this. And Jim McElwain, who used to be the head coach at Florida, you remember the shark photo. Yeah, right. So he knows a thing or two about, some situations. Well, here is Jim McElwain talking about this Connor Stallions situation.
Jim?
Jim?
Yeah, you got to play the video. Just froze.
Internet.
Connor Stallions did it again.
Do we have Connor Stallions on the phone? We got him? We got him on this show?
That would be great.
Can we get him?
Probably not.
We could probably get him.
Boys?
My bad. We miscommunication in the group chat. I thought you sent in the group for Taylor to play from his side.
All good. All good.
Fireable offense.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is.
I will say this: I think most people listening have probably seen some version of the picture of him sitting back there. So how arrogant or dumb can you be to realize in 2023, everybody with a phone, HD phone camera.
Yeah, this isn't like the first version of the iPhone that you used to wear on a belt.
You're going to sneak around and put a guy in Central Michigan. You're going to have him play dress up.
Yeah.
And go steal signals.
Well, the best part was whenever a player went to the sideline and he was like, oh, I might be in there. He would put his head down and he was trying to put his hand over, bruh.
Yeah.
You don't think there's other angles?
This is a football game. There is pictures everywhere of the whole thing. They even record these things on video.
Yes.
This football game?
Hey, there's more than one camera, too. I don't know if you know that. Here is Jim McElwain on the Connor Stallions situation.
Before we go any farther, we've obviously are aware of a picture floating around with the sign stealer guy. Our people are doing everything they can to get to the bottom of it. We're totally unaware of it. I certainly don't condone it in any way, shape, or form. And, I do know that his name was on none of the passes that were let out. Now we just keep tracing it back and try to figure it out. But it's in good hands with our people. And again, there's no place in football for that.
So can I ask you a question? So so everyone knows his name, right? Connor Stallions.
Connor Stallions.
We don't have him on the phone right now.
No.
Okay, so we don't have him. So he's been traced back to Michigan.
Yes.
Okay, he's been traced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's in the locker room holding the.
No,
Big
because
Ten
I was trying to poke
trophy.
holes in what he was just saying. It probably happens 300 times a year where the person with the pass on the sideline is not the person that it's attached to. Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the sideline.
On the coach's box.
On the coach's box.
Yeah, because you can maybe talk your way down on the sideline, and then eventually they're like, hey, buddy, that pass ain't you. Come on. Some point in the first quarter, even when we go to LSU games, sometimes it's you walk in a certain area, no, your pass, get back over there, and if you want to go to the other side, you got to walk behind the bench. Now, I don't know that Central Michigan has the same security level. I don't know that, but
that's a good point.
I mean, this guy had a pass. He's dressed up like a coach.
So who is Central Michigan playing?
Michigan State.
So I guess they were trying to steal Michigan State signals. I don't know. Either way, I mean, just let the kids play. Let the kids play. I think McElwain's being a little bit soft.
Oh, the fact that on his sideline somebody was impersonating a Central Michigan coach.
Yeah, let him play. Get better security. Change your signals. So what? Let him steal your signals, then change them.
This feels like something where you
want
to be full on board with this, and you're realizing that nobody else is really on board with it. And you're trying to talk about it.
That's what I mean. You can play. This is just a crazy game of poker that everybody's playing. Let them steal your signals. And then when you play them, change them. That'll stop them from using those signals real fast.
Well, TCU actually did that. So TCU in the college football playoff, they got wind that Michigan was stealing signs, and that's what they were doing, and they used fake signals all game long.
Yep. Just to,
but how hard?
That's what you do.
But how hard?
It's not hard.
And I'm not. I mean, obviously, like I played in offenses, and we had signals. Like in Denver, all of our 2-man route combinations, and good God, there was 100,000 of them. Like they each had a signal, and like Tar Heel was a 2-man combination because Peyton saw North Carolina run at one time, and so he would quickly hit his heel. It was real quick, but he never changed it. Like that's what that was.
He looks Peyton looks so unathletic hitting that heel. He had so many braces on his body.
Oh yeah, it was.
It's not hard to fake signal.
Yeah.
Like, so there was times that
Omaha, like how that became a deal. Like Omaha became a fake signal. Omaha initially was next sound, snap the ball. It was a hurry up term.
Yep.
And then once Omaha got caught on the microphone, we used Omaha for 17 different things.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so we would get to the point where, like, if it was a running play, we would be signaling our ass off.
Yeah.
We would be signaling real pass plays, but they knew it was a running play.
Yeah.
Even if it was no huddle, they still know, like, you can give them some sort of like real quick signal that signifies run, and then everything I tell you after this is just BS. So don't listen to it. Or you get chemistry with guys and it's just like a look. Like you give them a look and you're like, you open your eyes real wide and be like, oh yeah, look at this one. And they're like, oh, got it. And they shake their head really hard, like, oh yeah, okay, I got it, seam. But yeah, it's part of the game. All right, don't sneak on somebody's sideline and do something, borderline illegal. Oh, there he is. Good for him, dude. I mean, let the kids play. He's probably not even good at it. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, okay, so I love this, that there's this story that has been around for a week to 10 days, and there's so many different things. And Flynn, because he doesn't watch sports, like it's just finding out something. He's like a trained Marine, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And yeah.
Does that make him good at sign stealing?
Well, apparently, like it's one of his fortes. Yeah, like it's all over, like his LinkedIn profile. Like he talks about all the different things that he is really good at.
What does he say on his LinkedIn profile? It's like something strategic advantages or something like that. Yeah, he's like, I don't know how he does it, but he's apparently professional.
Professional sign stealer?
Yeah.
I'll go head to head with him right now.
You're out of the game. You're out of the practice.
I'd beat his ass at sign stealing.
I don't know. It's been a while for you.
Not in real life, obviously. Marine, he'll kill me.
All right. Let's
sign stealing. I got him.
Let's do this. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then hey, LSU's playing Alabama.
You know what? A good way to fix it: just
put a mic in.
College football is professional football now. Put a mic.
Yeah.
Easy.
I mean, it's not that hard. Or, I'm sorry. Quick, put a speaker, not a microphone.
No, like mic or to a speaker. Yes,
we all know. It's so easy. It doesn't cost a lot of money anymore, I'm sure.
Did you ever have a situation when you were in there and the coach either left the thing on by accident or he was arguing with somebody else on the sideline and it's in your ear?
A couple of times, but luckily I think it shuts off at 18 seconds on the play clock. Like the speakers do. I can't remember. Maybe it's 15 seconds. But the speaker shuts off. You can't be the line of scrimmage and your coach is like, throw to the left, throw to the left. But they do shut off. So, yeah, but there was times, certainly. It was a lot more entertaining being on the headset on the sideline listening to the coaches. So he'd call the play, and then it would click off to the quarterback, and they're just MFing each other on the headsets. It was like the best entertainment.
Whispering sweet nothings?
Oh yeah, that was some of my biggest like uncomfortable laughing, uncontrollable laughters, like on the sideline, hearing the coaches just go after each other.
We had to switch to Whitehurst giving the play in. Like he would give the play in because Norv had a tendency to, whatever the play was before, still be whispering sweet nothings about the player that messed that play up before to himself and wouldn't get the play call in sometimes. And Philip would like be panicking, like, hey, we need the call. And he still would be basically talking to himself, talking bad about like whoever just screwed the play up. So we had to switch it to Whitehurst where he was calling the plays in.
The best I ever heard was Mike McCarthy chewing out the guy. So everyone has a guy on the sideline that's basically like the rules and like will tell them like what you like situational football, like what you do like with a certain time, like the analytics guy that that can chime in or tell them to challenge it or not challenge it. We lost a challenge. That guy nearly lost his job. It was a 5-minute rant.
How many of the 5 minutes were not cuss words?
Not very many. When he would like, it was funny. You hear him scream, MF, 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 MF. Then all of a sudden, nothing. And then the calmest play call for like the next 4 seconds. And then it clicks off, MF, 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 like for 5 minutes. Then the calmest play call. It was really great.
Oh, man. I would have liked to have been on the headset when y'all cheated the Cowboys and Dez was called a no catch.
Read the rule book that year. Didn't catch it.
Taylor, was that a catch by Dez against Green Bay?
By rule, no.
Yep.
Today's rules would say yes.
Wow.
Today's rules say yes, but back then, no.
Not a catch.
You really, like in your heart of hearts.
That year, not a catch.
Look, at the time, I was screaming at the TV. I was probably screaming at the Packers. But, like, if you go back and look at it and read the rules, like,
I'll be honest with you. We were on the sideline like, I don't know about this one.
What's the other one? The Jesse James caught the ball to beat the Patriots in the playoffs, and they didn't call it a catch either at the goal line. I saw a replay.
Megatron had one.
Yeah, I saw a replay of that the other day, and I was like, technically wasn't.
Megatron, that was the one in the end zone where he, like, had to, like, he used it to
just like
to hold himself up, like 5 steps after he caught it.
Yes. They called okay. We benefited from one. Arian Foster caught an angle route against us. We're playing in Houston. It was a touchdown every single day. Every day. Kind of same situation. Like he's going down to the ground. He puts the ball down to kind of balance himself. Yeah, I mean, he taken like 4 steps.
Yeah.
And then let's go with the ball. No catch. We come back. We have 30 seconds left. They took the lead on that. But then they got to come back and kick a field goal to tie the game. With like 30 seconds left, we go down, kick the winning field goal, win the game, and it was a touchdown. But that day.
Can you think of like, random name alert, man, can you think of like a dude that had a 2 or 3 year stretch like Arian Foster? I mean, from a stat perspective, that maybe the guy in running back in Kansas City?
Jamal Charles.
Oof. Like those two, like fantasy killers. For like a couple of years. Like, how did those guys' careers not last longer?
Both of them are 3rd-round picks, I believe, as well. Like Jamal's numbers are crazy. Like when you start talking about like 4-year sample size of what he did, like in that 4-year window. But so he's our class, and Jamal never played.
So is Arian, right?
He might be a year after us. He might be the same class. He might be. I think he's a year after us. I'll have to check that. But Jamal was somebody, like, he'd always been the dude. I mean, he's a track star. He was the guy at Texas, and we're playing against the Chiefs, and he's playing wing on punt. And I'm outside, I'm rushing the punter. And when I say this man couldn't care less about blocking and protecting this punter, I mean, he is out there like the laziest kick slide you'd ever seen in your life and just laughing about it. Now, let me tell you something. Like when he went and covered, he was going 100%, and I'm not chasing him. I'm not catching him.
That ain't me.
I'm going to block this every single time. And so
let me rush the deep snapper. Don't make me block Jamal Charles.
Yeah, let me hold Jamal Charles up and try to go catch up to that guy. I did get one though on Jamal Charles. Yeah, blocked one.
Well, now after that story, it doesn't mean much because he said he didn't care.
He didn't know.
I could have done that apparently.
Well, no. A little bit more athletic than you were. All right, let's take a break. We'll talk LSU Alabama when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to getgordon.com. Getgordon.com. That is the website to go to if you want to find out all the information about past client results. If you want to check out a full list of cases that they can handle for you right now, maybe you're already at work, and so it's a great resource for you to have. In the bottom right corner of the website, getgordon.com, you can have a chat with them right there on the website. So any question, concern, anything you have, it can be answered right there on the homepage, getgordon.com. Now, always on social media, that handle on all major social media, at getgordon. You can find some of the things they're doing in the community, some of the things they're doing with your favorite Tigers, right? So many different things. Basketball season's coming up. They are fully in on women's basketball, and really something they started a year ago just continues to grow. The Grubbin with G series, you can find that on their social media. But anywhere in the state of Louisiana. Remember, put your area code followed by 888-8888. Get Gordon and get it done.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Airline in Pico, across from Women's Hospital, or at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Brian Kelly and Nick Saban update their team's preparations. Russ Mitchell previews the weekend ahead in the SEC. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
We're hot. We're on.
It's okay. It's okay. Look, I have no problem. We were just talking about, sometimes like when you're talking coverages, you want to make sure that everyone understands. And, sometimes when you say something, it's elementary to someone who's, studied coverage and breaks down coverages. And That's going to be one of the keys for old LSU is understanding coverages and where they're
Listening to
supposed
us.
to be.
Listening to
Oh,
us.
yeah, for sure. They all listen. He wants. But, LSU is who they are. And we talked about it. I mean, they are a quarters team 39% of the time. They are a cover 3 team 30% of the time. They cover 1 15% of the time. So that's really probably their most aggressive coverage, cover 1, because, cover 3 and quarters, I don't think anybody would ever describe them as being aggressive.
Next.
Yeah, I can tell you love your
I got
favorite
uncomfortable.
coverage.
I got uncomfortable there listening.
Well, cover 3 is
Did
like
you say 39% of the time is quarters?
39%. It's actually that number's
I
up
wonder
in the
if it's
40%
I wonder
the
if
last
it's
3 weeks.
I'd like to see the breakdown of the variations of that. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't think it's basically 40% of just like straight cover 4. Maybe I break
Well, quarter halves is only 15.
Yeah.
No, like 15 times total this year.
Yeah.
2.8%.
Again, I always question who's breaking it down. But
Well, too, I do get what you're understanding because there can be. That's what I was
Let's just
talking
say
about.
it's still a lot, though.
I was talking about that earlier, and I think you were listening. Like there can be certain situations where, like like you see cover 2, but it's like it's Tampa 2, or it's like a robber situation if you're playing in coverage, and there's a lot of different variations of it. That's why it's so important to get the full call when you're playing defense and you have these new guys in there. Make sure, because you're not just going to ever line up. Hey, we're going to play cover 2 30% of the time, cover 3 30%. Like there's going to be variations off of it.
And there's different. And I don't know the scheme at LSU, so I'm not saying this is what they do or what anybody does. I can just tell you from my playing days what happened a lot of times in the NFL was just like an offense will have run pass checks.
Yeah.
And so you get out there, you have a run pass check, and
if you hear kill,
if you hear kill,
that's
it's going.
to
So
the other
every
play.
time you hear like kill or a flip or or some sort
Any
of code
K word, we were
like,
Kansas. Kansas was that meant kill for us.
or alert, alert, something like that. You always know, like, that's how people always say, "Oh my gosh," get enamored with announcers. Be like, "Oh, here they're going to run it here," because they hear alert and they see 2 high safeties. They're like, "Of course, they're alerting it to a run." So just like that, defenses have the same thing. I mean, there's defenses that used to have, I talked about earlier, like strumming a banjo or doing some sign of a call was like always palms. Where if an offense was in 3-by-1, they ran quarters.
Yeah.
Now, if they motioned and went 2-by-2, it automatically went to 3.
Yeah.
So, like, it depends. Sometimes it depends the coverage on what the offense is lined up in. And so if they're running 2-by-2s all day, you're going to see a lot more cover 3. If they're running a lot of 3-by-1s, you're going to see a lot of quarters.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can skew. So just like I just said, what people are more familiar with the offense, sometimes your run pass percentages get thrown off, not because you're trying to run the ball 52% of the time, but they ran so much cover 2, you had to. Like you were, that was the check, that was the game plan.
Yeah.
So that's sometimes it gets skewed like that, but it's just hard for me because I hate quarters so much.
You do. You're
There's a time
passionate
and a
about
place.
it.
Like if you're gonna do it, then having it check like a 3-by-1's the best time to call quarters. A 2-by-2 quarters is just poo-poo. But anyway, we seem to be doing a little bit better. We better keep getting better at it because it's such a sucky coverage. You better be really good at it.
Well, here's my deal. If you're going to run it, and I would say, just from my film study, and not just LSU, across college football, cover 3 is like the college coverage. Like that's what I see more than any other. That's what Coach Saban's always been a cover 3 guy.
Yeah.
Like as long as I've known him, like that's what his defenses are going to run, and so that being your second leading coverage, there's no surprise there. And they have they are true to who they are. I think for LSU, it's just more important be where you're supposed to be. Like you can't guess end zone coverage.
Yeah.
Like if you have a spot to get to, and I was talking about this earlier, you got to get to the spot because if we're playing off each other, you're playing nickel and I'm playing middle linebacker, and I know where I've got to get to, but then I see you like float, and I'm like, well, does he know what he's doing? Do I need to go cover up for him?
Right.
Because he's getting out of his zone. Do I need to go shift over? Well, then what do I do? Well, then I screw the guy next to me, and then it becomes a whole domino effect.
And I'd also like to, question the breakdown of it too, because LSU seems to run, I call it like the Seattle 3 a lot. So just think back when Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor they kind of invented a cover 3. and we'd call it Seattle 3. I can't remember what we called it, but it was a different type of 3 where it looked quarters.
Right.
But at the snap, Earl would kind of like go back a little bit, and Cam would come up just a little bit. So it still kind of had like a quarter shell to it.
Yeah.
But Earl had so much range, he could cover the free safety from like more of a look, but Cam was also there, kind of creeping up to fill the run.
Yeah.
So it played a lot like quarters, but everything else had 3 principles to it. Now a lot of times they would man up like the slots and stuff, still play like the Seattle 3 with and man up the slots, play some man principles with the backers. But I see that a little bit with LSU. They kind of, it looks like quarters, but one of the safeties kind of like trickles down a little bit at the snap. So
the
it's
good
kind of
thing,
hard
though?
to decipher 3.
The good thing is there's no Cam Chancellors playing this weekend, or Earl Thomases for Alabama.
Thank God. Those guys were good.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. Let's take a break. One final segment here for a Flestering Wednesday when we come back on OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to K2ZBlinds.com. KTOZBlinds.com. That is the website for K to Z window coverings, and it is interior and exterior. No matter what you're looking for, they have got all the things available for if you want to check out some new blinds, some new drapes, new shades that you've seen out there. We promise you, K to Z, they handle that. They carry those, and they come into your home, and they can fix you up. Now, the exterior part of it and interior, they're going to make sure you have what you need as well, like what you want and also what you need, because they're going to come in and they're going to know exactly where does the sun set. Like, do you need this certain type of screen here because of where the sun's at? If you're going exterior, hey, you need, because you do have a situation where the sun's coming in, well, you need this different shade. If it's just to keep the bugs out, they've got a shade for that as well. They know your space as well as anybody. They're going to know it better than you by the time that they leave. K2ZBlinds.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
Join us for the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch from Roca Pizzeria on Government Street in Mid-City. Randy McKay will be with us along with Scott Rabelais and Wes Reynolds. Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
We hot?
No, we're good.
We're back.
Yeah. We're just talking safeties.
Just talking safety stuff.
Talking safety play. When Flynn and I came into the league, like you had Troy Polamalu, Bob Sanders, Ed Reed, Charles Woodson, these safeties that you're trying to figure out what it is because you have rules. Football has rules and indicators. I should certainly, like for quarterback, running back, we're back there. We can kind of see it. And rules be damned because they were going to do what they wanted and it was going to work out for them. And so you can never be right.
Yeah, a lot of times they were smarter than the guys they were playing against.
Well, I'm a meathead. It wasn't that hard to be smarter.
That's a good point.
I've had classes with you as well, so let's not throw stones.
Let's check my Wonderlic score.
Oh, you did have a high Wonderlic, didn't you?
Hey,
so
I just wanted to say,
you're just lazy.
Wanted to say, yeah.
Drinkmyhigh.com.
Yeah. Hey, I like the LSU matchup this week, by the way. Go football.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Win. You heard it here from drinkmyhigh.com himself.
Win.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Get that winning feeling from the gridiron to the dime and then beyond with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Check it out, y'all. With money lines, props, parlays, and more, you bet your favorite sports and take shots at massive wins. And right now, new customers have an incredible deal. Use the promo code Baton Rouge to sign up. All one word, Baton Rouge. You get $150 in bonus bets instantly for betting $5 on anything. How about that? Remember, if you're a returning customer, you can always take your winnings to the next level with the DraftKings same-game parlays, okay? So open up the app, place your parlay, combine a bunch of bets, get that bigger payout. What are you waiting for? Promo code Baton Rouge, bet $5 on anything, $150 in bonus bets instantly. Must be 21 or older, officially present in Louisiana, select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com. Licensee partner, Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. on Wednesday, November 1st. Today in Baton Rouge, expect cloudy skies with a high of 58. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 3 of Off the Bench, live from Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
I meant to ask Flynn this while he was here because I know he has such a deep love for, at his time, the Oakland Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders. He's got a deep passion about his time there as a member of the Raider Nation. He just loves it. It was his favorite time in his career. He talks about it glowingly, and I wanted to know if he was sad that the Raiders have fired their head coach and GM. So Josh McDaniels out as the Raiders head coach. I know Flynn must be pretty upset by it.
Yep. We were talking about this the other day, and me and T-Bob were talking about something. I was like, it becomes more and more evident of how important it was to have Tom Brady as your quarterback. It's like Belichick's fallen off a little bit, and people are like, well, what's happening with him? I mean, Josh McDaniels is getting these head coaching jobs because of the success he's had as an offensive coordinator in New England. Tom Brady was his quarterback at the time in New England. It was not a Jimmy Garoppolo. It was not whoever he had in Denver at the time. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like eventually the Brady thing's going to run out on you, and that's kind of what happened with McDaniels.
I mean, this is now 2 failed attempts in the AFC West to be a head coach in Denver and now for the Raiders. And it just continues to blow my mind how people just continue to get these opportunities. He's not a good head coach. We don't know that he's a good coordinator.
Yeah.
We don't know that. He was with the greatest of all time, right? And when he's in Denver, he tried to draft Tim Tebow in the first round and make that work, and they won a playoff game. And I think they went 8-8 that year, whatever. And then credits in, they won a playoff game, but that was never going to work long term. And just time and time again, Josh McDaniels just made head-scratching decisions. And remember, he turned down head coaching jobs. Like, he was going to be the Colts head coach and then decided to stay in New England a couple of years ago. Like, multiple people want this guy to be their head coach. And, these are smart people. These are people that make a lot of money, make big decisions. Like, do you not just want to go back and look? It's like a history lesson, like of how it turned out in Denver. And sure, you can make the argument, some coaches have failed in their first attempt, and then their second attempt, it's been completely different. Yeah, but more times than not, it's going to be like the first time. And McDaniels got the job when Rich Bisaccia should have gotten the job. Rich Bisaccia takes over after John Gruden gets fired in season, leads them to the playoffs, right? Very competitive against the Bengals in that playoff game. I mean, in full disclosure, I'm flying close to the sun here. I get it. I played for Rich Bisaccia. I respect him as much as any coach I've ever played for. But I know what that man was about, and I know the passion that his players have for him. And I've said this, man. There's two coaches that I would go to war with right now. Rich Bisaccia being one of them, and then Dan Campbell, because of course, why not Dan Campbell? I mean, that guy I think would have me running through a brick wall just because. But I would tear my hamstring covering a kick for Rich Bisaccia right now, because that's what he meant to his players. If we had Foster Moreau in here, I promise you he would say the same thing. I was in the training room at LSU 2 years ago, whenever that was, and Foster was back for the offseason. He was getting some treatment on an injury he had, and Bisaccia just FaceTimes him, right? And just checking on him. Hey, how you doing? And I talked to Rich for 10 minutes myself, because that's what kind of coach he was, and he had the ear of that team. And they said, you know what? We're going to be Ricky Bobby's dad. A little too comfortable here. Let's go bring Josh McDaniels in. And then so now you get what you pay for.
It's worse than that too, because like you were mentioning, yes, he failed in at the Raiders. That offense was better before him. And Jake, think about this: that team made the playoffs, and Derek Carr was a lot better at quarterback under Bisaccia with Hunter Renfrow, Zay Jones, and Mac Hollins.
Yeah.
Those are your three weapons. Darren Waller was out almost the entire year. Your number one receiver in Henry Ruggs goes to prison. You make the playoffs. What do you do in the offseason? You hire Josh McDaniels, but you get a fully healthy Darren Waller. You bring in Devontae Adams, who at the time was the best receiver in the league, and your offense goes backwards. So it's not just, oh, he doesn't know how to manage a team. It's not this. Like you mentioned, we don't know how good of an offensive coordinator he is. He came into a situation of a team that just made the playoffs, got a lot more offensive weapons, and they took a significant step back. So, that was all I needed to see.
Yeah, can't help but think they made that run with Bisaccia to the playoffs, almost beat the Bengals, and lost with Derek Carr failing in the red zone. That there's a cruel irony there.
Yeah, but again, he's been in the league forever. I mean, Bisaccia was the special teams coordinator for those Bucs teams in the early 2000s that were winning, playing for Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl. I mean, he's been in the league forever. So he had the skins on the wall, and you had it right there in front of you. But sometimes these NFL teams, they try to be the smartest guy in the room, and it's like a draft choice too. I'm going to be the coach and GM that figures this guy out, and then when you hire a coach, I'm going to be the GM president that gets this guy back on track. No, you're not. You're not. Why do you continue to try to make this thing happen? I've never understood it. I'm never going to understand it. And this isn't I'm not just hating, and Dennis Allen falls into this category. We've already said our piece about that. We know what that situation is. But Doug Peterson, when he was available after he got let go, he was barely having conversations with teams. And this man had a Super Bowl title to his name. He had actually done something, right? Players enjoyed playing for him. He had a great record, all those things. And it's he's barely getting calls, barely getting interviews. And then Jacksonville takes a chance on him, and lo and behold, what do? They go win a playoff game a year ago after taking over maybe the most toxic situation in NFL history with what Urban Meyer did to that team. And he's got them right back in that conversation again this year. It's why are we trying to be the smartest guy in the room? Why don't we just look at results? Right? Let's look at what they've actually done, not what they can do. And so many times in sports, certainly in the NFL, that happens.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it, the Doug Peterson thing. It's more than that. They went from a team with the number one pick to the playoffs. They went from 2 wins to 9 wins. They're probably going to win their division again this year, it looks like. They're looking like one of the best teams in the league. And yeah, Philadelphia's doing fine without him. That's okay. I get it. His time, they maybe needed to make a change, but Doug Peterson can flat out coach football. I mean, we've seen it at multiple stops. Like you mentioned, so many people are well, I'm going to try to reinvent things, or I can't hire Rich Bisaccia because the fans are going to be calling for me if I just promote the interim guy. I'm not going to do that. I got to go out. I got to get the young, hotshot offensive coordinator that has never proven he can be a competent head coach, right? A lot of people it goes with draft picks, same thing. A lot of people just try to outsmart themselves, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and stick up for Dennis Allen a little bit, at least compared to Josh McDaniels. To your point, yes, he's a bad head coach. The record's there, just like with Dennis Allen, the writing's on the wall. But Dennis Allen at least built a good defense. And with the New Orleans Saints, you at least know he can coach that side of the ball. And that side of the ball hasn't really been the problem throughout his tenure.
Yeah, so to your point, you're saying because McDaniels built his offense off Tom Brady.
Yes.
Yeah, we just talked about
ninth
it.
worst coaching percentage in NFL history.
Yeah, and Dennis Allen was a coordinator for many years, lost some key players, still made stuff work with different guys in there.
Coordinator-wise, I think
Yeah.
you could argue elite.
For sure, exactly.
Yeah. And coaching, different category.
For sure, but given the situation, you understand why
if
they
you're
gave-
comparing him to McDaniels,
Yes.
I do get your comment.
The McDaniels hire was more nonsensical than the Allen
Yes.
hire is what I'm saying.
No, yeah, he's right. I mean, it's what I just mentioned. You bring in Devontae Adams, you get Darren Waller back, you get more weapons, and the offense got worse than before you were there.
Yeah.
And that's all I
That's
needed
on
to
you.
see. Yeah.
That is on you. And by the way, Jacksonville 6-2, Houston 3-4 in second place. So they're going to win that division. I know only Sis talking absolutes, but I'm going to speak in absolutes here. Jacksonville is going to win their division. I mean, and it's not just this situation too. Like you can go back and like you can look at when you hire the young up and coming guy and he tries to be somebody that nobody else is. The Chargers fall into that category. Like Brandon Staley, he tried to be fourth down guy. He tried to be Lane Kiffin in the NFL. Now he's eased back on some of that, but like he was trying to be, I'm so innovative, I'm going to go for it on every fourth down because the analytics say we're going to go for it and you got a better chance. Look, some of that might play out, but at the end of the day, ball is ball. And it's been that way for a long time. You think, I mean, like guys like Andy Reid, right? I mean, he knows exactly what to do in certain situations because he knows his team. And it felt like Brandon Staley, he just does it because he's like, well, the analytics say do it. And he doesn't know or have a pulse for his team sometimes. And that's crucial.
Look, I'm not an analytics guy. I know they're like, oh, well, if it's 4th and 3 at this point, all that is calculated. That's not your on the field performance. Like you said, like you know your team. If it's like, well, my quarterback's struggling today, but our defense is playing well, let's punt the football away.
Yeah.
Let's play the field position game and get it done. Just because the analytics say it doesn't always mean that's why you should do it.
Yes, because analytics can change or they should change within a game, right? Hey, man, you're right. And it's a great way to describe it. Man, quarterback's just not playing himself today, right? I mean, he had a corner route where he threw it short. He had a go ball. They threw to the inside, not the outside. He hadn't hit his check downs, and those happen, right? And so, yeah, the analytics might say go for it, but you know, hey, yeah, my defense, they've kind of held them. And, man, the NFL coaching carousel is just, it's wild right now. And some of the analytics are working. I look at Miami, what's going on there, shifts and movements and all the things they're doing, but that's their situation. So many times you try to copycat in the NFL what's going on, and every situation is going to be a little bit different. And the Raiders just felt like they were trying to copycat something, trying to go for a splash when they had something right there in front of them, and that's why they are the Raiders, and that's why they're always going to be the Raiders, and that's why they're always going to not enjoy postseason success and just have a very nice stadium now. They don't have to play in Oakland anymore, so I guess that's a plus for them. But the Raiders
I don't know. It kind of looks like a Roomba. I've always said that.
Have you? You've been there.
I've been to Allegiant Stadium, not inside, but from the outside.
Okay.
It looks nice, but from a sky view, it looks like one of those mobile vacuums.
Well, have you ever seen the Oakland Coliseum where they used to play?
Yes.
I've played there when it was half infield, half football field. Anything that they did is an upgrade.
Yeah, we covered them during baseball season. Remember the possums in the press box during the athletics games?
Yes. Yes. And that is exactly what that place was and still is, and that's why the A's are now moving as well. All right, let's go ahead real quick. Let's get some Saints talk in before we get to our guy, Ross Jackson, who's going to join us here in a matter of minutes. They've got, obviously, a situation where they get to hit reset. It's kind of been our theme for the Saints leading into this week because now they're 4-4. They're tied with the Falcons for first place in the South. They played what I think is their best offensive game against the Colts last week. Now you've got backup quarterback coming up on your schedule with the Bears, Vikings, and Falcons. The Vikings, they make a move. I fully expect Joshua Dobbs in 2 weeks to be the starting quarterback when you play the Vikings. Would y'all be surprised if he wasn't?
Yeah, I'd be shocked.
I mean, you make a move to get him at the deadline. I know you've got Hall, who you say you feel good about. I saw him at the Senior Bowl. There's some things to like there, but I don't know that he's going to be the answer. Otherwise, why do you go get a guy that started for the Cardinals?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, oh, we say we feel good about him. That's a lip service. You're not going to be like, oh, this guy's on our roster, but he sucks. He's no good. It's like they went and got Joshua Dobbs for a reason. If you truly felt good about Jaron Hall, you would say, well, we're going to see what he's got. You know, we because this is a team that, while they're not playing good, like if they get on a little bit of a winning streak, they could still maybe grab one of those wild card spots. And you're not going to do that if you feel comfortable about Jaron Hall. No, I would be shocked if Joshua Dobbs isn't their guy.
Yeah, it's probably the best move they can make. I mean, honestly, bad situation, start 0-3, you rally to get to the point where you are now, and then Kirk Cousins goes down. But I'd rather get somebody like Joshua Dobbs, who at least has been playing football, than somebody cold that, has not been playing, like Case Keenum or
Colt McCoy,
Jameis Winston, who has been rumored to maybe go over there. So I think it's not a great situation, but given the circumstances, probably the best they could do.
All right, let's talk some New Orleans Saints. Our guy Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints, is going to join us to do so when we come back here. It is OTB.
OTB, OT. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
On one lot. Shop BayouAutomotive.com.
Hear from Coach Dennis Allen and his staff Monday nights at 8 p.m. on the Saints Coaches Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 this Sunday to catch 3 different NFL games. We start with the noon kickoff, the Seahawks at Ravens. Immediately following that, it's the Cowboys and Eagles. And then our night game, the Bills at Bengals. Catch all of those games here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mamas. Baby mamas. Yeah, go like this. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize a trillion times.
OTB, OT, with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Always a pleasure to catch up with our next guest. Ross Jackson, host of Locked On Saints there, has the Saints covered from every single angle. Now, Ross, I got to ask you, like that song obviously says your name in it. It's Outkast, like we all love Outkast. But, I mean, from Atlanta, now the Saints tied with Atlanta for the division lead. Like, can we enjoy Outkast during this time period?
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm always going to enjoy Outkast. Ain't nothing going to stop me from enjoying some Andre 3 Stacks and all that. I appreciate that. I have a running joke with our guy who covers the Falcons here on Locked On. So every time that we do a show together before we play, I talk about how Taysom Hill always just destroys Atlanta every time that they play. And one of the things that I mentioned was that he would beat Andre 3000 in a battle rap. Like, he just owns Atlanta that much. So it's a running joke.
I'd love to see Taysom Hill in any kind of battle rap.
Pay.
Yes.
Yeah, I would pay a lot for admission.
Hey, you know what? I'd also pay a lot just to see them use Taysom Hill on a football field like they did last weekend as well.
Hey, how about that?
I mean, it felt like they had a plan. It felt like there was a rhyme, a reason for everything they did offensively. And I know it's just a one-game sample size, but that's who this Saints team can be. They have the weapons, Ross. Like, we know that. They've got 3 receivers you feel really good about. They've got Alvin Kamara, and you got Williams there, and he can pass protect and get you 6-7 carries a game, and Taysom Hill doing what he's doing, like, and Derek Carr in the red zone. Like, they can be that team. It's just really the first time that we've seen it in its totality last week.
Yeah, this has been the consistent issue for New Orleans over the course of the past couple of years, is that you have a slew of guys that have a particular set of skills, if I could say that, and that, they just don't call upon those guys to do those things. I mean, Jimmy Graham has been an example of that so far this season. He's been targeted like once in the red zone. Most of the time when he's in on the red zone, they're running, and not only are they running, but they're running away from him. It's like a 70% split on that case.
Yep.
And so, they've kind of had this bad habit of, getting comfortable or whatever it is, and not necessarily putting these guys in the best position to succeed. And this time against the Indianapolis Colts, we saw that change. Saints ran 12 plays inside the 20, so from 19 or closer to the end zone on 12 of those plays, one of which was a false start. But on the 11 plays that they ran, the ball was in the hands of Taysom Hill or Alvin Kamara on 10 of them. Yeah. So basically every time that they were in the red zone, they turned to Taysom Hill and to Alvin Kamara. One of those Taysom Hill possessions was actually a play called for him to pass. It was to speed out to the right side with the levels concept, working over to the right side of the field. He tucked and ran for 12 yards from the 14 or from the 16 and got them in scoring position. But outside of that, the only play that didn't go to one of those guys was that pass up the seam from Derek Carr to Juwan Johnson, which almost worked. Like, it was also a good play call. Like, that's another guy you'd love to see targeted in the red zone quite a bit now that he's back. So I like what the Saints did in the red zone, and this is a part of them kind of culling and simplifying, excuse me, I just put the words together, their play calls in certain situations. I think you saw that illustrated really well in the red zone.
Yeah, it was. And look, if that's what they have to do, that's what they have to do, because we all know, the struggles in the red zone there for the Saints. All right, so when you look at what they have coming up and you look at where the position is, like, it feels like to me, Ross, and I don't know if you agree with this, that you're able to hit kind of reset here. You're tied with the Falcons after 8 games. You've got a 500 record. You're right there, again, with every opportunity to win the division. You've got the Falcons still a couple of more times, but this feels so important because of who you have coming up on your schedule. We all know the narrative of the backup quarterback situation. You feel like you got to take full advantage of these next 3 games.
Yeah, absolutely. And starting with that Indianapolis Colts game, the 3 games before the bye week, which include the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings coming up, these were kind of a really, maybe the most important stretch of the season so far, because if you can walk away with 3 straight wins and 3 straight winnable games, you show that you can beat teams that you should beat, which is really kind of the rest of this schedule, right? They were said that, everybody has said from the very beginning that the Saints have the best or the easiest schedule in the NFL, maybe the hardest game that you have left to play is the Detroit Lions, which was probably going to be the hardest game left to play at this point, one way or another, because of how good that team has looked. But I mean, when you've got, Tyson Bagent, you've got, no Khalil Herbert for the Chicago Bears, who's still on injured reserve. You've got, no Kirk Cousins with Minneapolis. Or Minnesota. What's going to happen with Justin Jefferson during this time too? Who's going to be the quarterback? Will it be the rookie Jaron Hall? Will it be Joshua Dobbs by that time? I think it'll probably be Joshua Dobbs by that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're in the position here to have two very winnable games before they go into their bye week, and then come off the bye week against a familiar opponent. Things are set up really well for New Orleans. You have to capitalize here.
Yeah, I mean, even look at the rest of the schedule. Yes, you've got to play Detroit after the Falcons, but then you get the Panthers again. You get the Giants, both those games at home. You go on the road to L.A., and L.A.'s not played well. So the schedule sets up really nicely for the New Orleans Saints, but I think you just want to see them be consistent. I think you want to see them continue to do the things that they did in this Colts game, because, sometimes – it's like, okay, yeah, I really enjoy what I saw with this New Orleans Saints team, and then they, kind of go the other way, right? We saw the Patriots game. It's like a 34-0. This is what this team can be, and then you come back, you lose to the Texans, you lose to the Jags there. What do you think, Ross, covering this team every single day, what do you think they have to be the most consistent at? What's one of the things you saw in this Colts game that changed in a positive manner that you feel like they can have the opportunity to make that stick?
Yeah, I'll say consistency on the offensive line, because that buys you time to be consistent in the passing game, and it allows you to be consistent in the run game, right? So it all kind of complements one another. So I think on the offensive side, that's the thing, is if you don't have to rush Derek Carr's clock, you see what he can do in terms of getting the ball out and running a more comfortable offense and all those other things. If you're able to run to the tune of 160 plus yards, you see what it can do. If you can run in the red zone, you've seen what it can how it can benefit. I mean, even if you add in, I think the Saints were 3 of 4 in the red zone in this game against the Indianapolis Colts. You could call it 4 of 5 because the Taysom Hill touchdown run, or the first one, was from the 20-yard line.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's blocking down in the red area, and that's what turned sort of the offense around for New Orleans. They haven't had much trouble moving the ball between the 20s. It's been once they get to the 20s. And I think having the option to run in the red zone makes a big difference. So I think consistency on the offensive line is kind of the biggest thing for this team moving forward.
Yeah, I thought Ryan Ramczyk looked like Ryan Ramczyk for the first time in really a couple of games, because we've seen struggles, but not that guy. And he had some struggles here in this season. It's been a surprise. You've put so many resources into that offensive line, Ross, and it's not just been bad. It's been almost worse than the league poor with some of the things that you've gone. You've tried different lineups. You've tried benching Trevor Penning. You've tried a couple of different things, and this offensive line has been a bad surprise, considering that you've got basically all first-round picks. I mean, McCoy's a second-round pick. You've put so much into this offensive line, and it's been one of the worst in the league.
Yeah, it's been a real surprise so far. And maybe one of the things that when we watched over the course of training camp and we went, I'm a little bit concerned about the offensive line depth. We should have been saying that we were a little bit concerned about the offensive line just kind of as a whole. But you kind of expected that with all of the, as you mentioned, all the resources that have been put into this offensive line. You have a great offensive line coach like Doug Marrone. You've got Jari Evans back there helping out. Danbury's back there helping out. You've got really good, everything, by all intents and purposes. And this is what we've been saying about the New Orleans Saints offense as a whole. So it's not a surprise that we would say this about the offensive line as well, that all of the talent is there. It's just that for whatever reason, when they got out on the field, they haven't been able to execute. They certainly haven't been able to execute consistently. Now they have an opportunity to change that narrative. I think this is their 4th, maybe 5th offensive line combination with Andrus Peat outside, Max Garcia in at left guard, and then Ryan Ramczyk back at right tackle. If this is what's going to work, then this is what's going to work. Once you find that combination, keep that combination together and continue to go through. And what that does is that it opens everything else up, right? You don't have to dedicate your tight ends to blocking. You don't have to dedicate your running backs to picking up, out of the backfield. You still can, but you're not forced to do it at such a consistency that you take those guys out of the game otherwise.
I want to ask you now about Chris Olave, somebody that we have certainly seen flash at some points this season. Those flashes came kind of early. You look at this game, and you had Shaheed and Thomas and Kamara have more receiving yards than Chris Olave. Some people getting a little worried. We saw the body language with Derek Carr on the go route where he stops running, and a lot of he said, she said, on the internet, which that tends to happen sometimes. But where are you at right now with Chris Olave, considering where he started the season and where he is right now?
Yeah, I have the utmost confidence that he'll return to being the guy with 100 yards in, most games and stuff like that. I mean, even just 2 games ago, he had 90, I think it was 96 receiving yards and 57, and then he went down into the 40s this past game. But, it's not like he has been devoid of production for, he hasn't even been devoid of production for 2 weeks, I would say, at this point. I think that he's a young guy that's got a lot going on with him and stuff like that. I get that. He's a human being. But I have absolutely no doubt that with Cody Burns as his wide receiver coach, with Michael Thomas there to kind of lean on, and with this team being the team that it has been so far and its ability to support each other despite whatever is going on, and we've seen that over and over again as other people from the outside talk about division. This team has kind of shown us nothing but unity over the course of the past 2 seasons. I think Chris Olave is in the best possible place for himself right now. And once he kind of clears the things that he needs to clear, then he'll be back to being the guy that we're used to seeing on the field. He was nearly there just this past week. If that one pass gets timed up right, if he doesn't lose it in the lights, whatever it is that happens there, and he catches that pass and walks into the end zone, we're having an entirely different conversation about him already. I expect that we'll be having that different conversation after the Bears game.
Last one for you, Ross, before we let you go, catching up with our guy Ross Jackson here on OTB. I want to brag on Jordan Howden, the 5th-round pick out of Minnesota.
Let's do it.
Every time I watch tape, and I'm watching the All-22, I mean, he is all over the field, and he's a 5th-round selection. That's great. He is playing way above a 5th-round selection. I think he can do multiple things. I think he helps you in multiple spots, and he has been a real bright spot. And look, Brian Brzez's been really good as a first-round pick, and so he has played well. But for me, the story is a 5th-round pick out of Minnesota.
Yeah, I think right now Jordan Howden has proven to be your second best rookie so far, right? Out of the rookies that have played. Now, A.T. Perry just got his first game, and he only played 8 snaps in the game. Brian Brzez's been that guy. Need him to stop lining up over the center on field goals. I think he's done that like 2 or 3 times so far this year. But once he gets that out of his game, it'll be good. But, I mean, I think Jordan Howden truly has been your second best guy. And, I spoke with Marcus Robertson, the Saints defensive backs coach, a few weeks ago about Jordan Howden. And one of the things that he told me was that, we're going to be talking here in a couple of years about how good this guy is. And that's like what he said to me. They have a lot of confidence in Jordan Howden, and you can see it on the field. There was the one play this past weekend. It was the touchdown pass on a pass that really should have never gotten out of Gardner Minshew's hands, but it was one of those like almost sack situations towards the back of the end zone to that tight end where he kind of pulled up. This is fresh off of a couple of pass interference penalties and stuff like that. So can't let the penalties of others kind of get into your head. He kind of pulled back and tried to, not draw that flag, and it ended up surrendering a touchdown because Lonnie Johnson Jr.'s diving attempt to knock it away wasn't there. But outside of that one moment, and that's just rookie stuff, once he really gets going and gets it, he could be the future right now at the safety position once Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu are done here in New Orleans.
All right, Ross Jackson. Ross, you're the best. We appreciate you hopping on with us and joining us last minute.
Thanks, guys. No problem at all. Appreciate you having me on. Take care, stay safe, and I look forward to talking to you again here soon.
All right, you as well. At Ross Jackson Nola is the handle. Give him a follow on Twitter. Like we said, has the Saints covered from every single angle. All right, we'll take a break. More OTB when we hop back here. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT.
All right, go to iticollege.edu, iticollege.edu, ITI Technical College. We tell you about them every single day. So many different ways to have a conversation with them. And look, they are set up for your success. And you will see that from the moment you go to the webpage. You'll know it from the moment that you go see them off Airline Highway as well. Incredible campus. Okay, so if you want to go check out that campus for yourself, we highly encourage you to do that. If you want to have a conversation with admissions, a couple of different ways to get that process done as well. Admissions at iticollege.edu if you want to send them an email. If you want to pick up the phone right now and speak to a live admissions specialist, 877-591-1070. So you can find all that information right there on their website, how to speak with admissions. Financial aid options are right there on the homepage of the website. But again, one of the things we encourage you to do every single day, go see them off Airline Highway today. iticollege.edu.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw.
Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's a What If Wednesday. JD Pickell of On3 Sports, and we'll get you those SEC football power rankings. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Oh, mama, I'm in fear for my life from the long arm of the law. Lawman is putting an end to my running, and I'm so far from my home. Oh, mama, I can hear you a-crying. You're so scared and all alone. Hangman is coming down from the gallows, and I don't have very long.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back into OTB. Let's go ahead and go to the phone lines now. My boy Chris Doering, SEC Network. Catch him on SiriusXM SEC Radio. You can catch him today as my co-host on Off Campus on College Sports Radio. You can also catch us on Pre-Gaming the SEC, a weekly podcast we do. And I told that our producer, CD, to put disgruntled Florida fan. Mario, our producer, asked him to do that on your title when you hopped on the show today, but he didn't do it. So it doesn't say disgruntled Florida fan.
I don't think I'm that disgruntled. I think I'm a little more disappointed than anything. But, I don't know what I would have expected. I kind of got caught up in the excitement and unfortunately made a bad pick taking Florida last week. But I think Georgia just showed how good they are, and I think there's a lot of teams that probably are well short of where the Bulldogs are this year.
I would say that safely. But even in that game in Jacksonville, and you know this, I mean, you played so many football games, you've covered so many. Florida scores first, and there's a million different ways that that game could play out. And if Florida, who decides to go for it on fourth down, which I don't mind being aggressive, but with the running backs that you have, maybe I like a different play call there. You get that. Who knows what that game ends up being?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the decision to go forward in that position. I thought Florida got a little too cute on a couple plays. That was one of them. Even if Etienne doesn't get pressured there immediately, I mean, Georgia did such a good job of just being disciplined. They had all the receivers covered. There was nowhere to go with the football. But I also understand that, lining up and getting a push against that Georgia front was not something that Florida was getting a lot of success with early, too. So, I thought the game plan was pretty well drawn out. A lot of misdirection, a lot of things that they were trying to do to take advantage of some of the pressure, a lot of screens. But to Georgia's credit, they're just such a well-coached team. They were it seemed like every play they were in the right spot and had a beat on what Florida was trying to do.
Yeah, and like you said, Georgia's had that over pretty much everybody for the last 3 seasons. They got an interesting one this weekend. I know you and I are going to talk a lot about it today, but Mizzou traveling to Athens, and this Missouri team, quarterback, receiver, running back, I mean, they've got it on all levels on the offense and good enough, I believe, to score against anybody. Do you give Mizzou any chance going to Athens against the Georgia Bulldogs as a, 15.5-point dog?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, after watching the tape last year and seeing the way that that Missouri matched up with Georgia, particularly on the defensive side, they gave that really good offensive line a hard time for Georgia. I think if you're Eli Drinkwitz, you're pointing to the tape saying, hey, look, this is what we did last year. We had them on the ropes for 55 minutes of that 60-minute ball game. If we can just finish this time, we might have a chance. I think this is an offense that's better than last year. Brady Cook is much more experienced, certainly has done a great job this year of distributing the football to a really talented group of receivers, and Cody Schrader brings a nice little physical element to that offense. So, yeah, I think they definitely have a shot. I think at the end of the day, though, I think we're probably going to be looking back like we did after the Kentucky game and after the Florida game, where these teams thought they were ready to take Georgia on, and in reality, they're not quite at that level yet.
I think that's completely fair. So let me ask it this way. Of the teams they have left on their schedule, Missouri and Ole Miss at home, Tennessee, Georgia Tech on the road, which one, if any, will give Georgia the biggest fight?
Yeah, you and I talk about this a lot, the cumulative effect of playing in the SEC, what it's like having to play week in and week out against the opponents in this conference, what it takes a toll not only physically but mentally on you. I wouldn't be surprised if the most difficult game is the Tennessee game at the end of this 4-game stretch that they're in the midst of right now. Tennessee's a different team when they play at home, and certainly that crowd helps them out quite a bit. But I also think they've upgraded their level of physicality on the lines of scrimmage this year. I mean, that's been the real big surprise to me, is how much they've had success running the football this year against every defense they've played against, and the way they've been able to get after the quarterback. So I think they're much more fit to take Georgia on this year than they were last season.
All right, let's go over to the SEC West. Obviously, a game that a lot of people care about here in Baton Rouge is LSU traveling to Alabama to take on the Crimson Tide. And last year, LSU was able to get Alabama at home in overtime, go for 2 for the win. And it's a weird matchup, CD, because you look at Alabama, and I don't think they're set up like they were a year ago. I mean, you lose the Heisman Trophy #1 pick in Bryce Young, you lose Will Anderson, but they are finding ways to win games, and sometimes it's ugly. It's a little too gritty to be pretty for Alabama this year. And then on the other side of it, like, you feel like LSU offensively, certainly not defensively now, but offensively, they're better than they were a year ago. So how do you see this matchup in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this is one of the better coaching jobs that Coach Saban has done since being in Tuscaloosa, the way that they've brought that team along throughout the season, the number of different spots that you felt like were maybe question marks at some time or another throughout the year, they've improved upon. I think the most important part of this game is the front seven for Alabama. If they can do a good job of getting after Jaden Daniels, if they can do a good job of corralling him in the pocket, not letting him scramble when things break down, I think they got a chance to win. If this is a game that gets into the upper 30s or low 40s, I think that certainly favors LSU, and I don't know that Jalen Milroe can match score for score with what Jaden Daniels can do. But if they have success and are able to keep it in the low 30s or maybe even the 20s, then I think that probably favors Alabama a little bit.
I mean, what do you think 2 wins in a row? Jaden Daniels would be the first starting quarterback. Now, Jefferson did this for LSU, but he didn't technically start one of the games. First time since Drew Brees at Purdue when Nick Saban was at Michigan State that a starting quarterback could beat Alabama in back-to-back years, or Nick Saban-led team, I should say. Like, what would this win do for LSU and their program as they try to get back to being one of those standards of college football like they've been certainly, recent times over the last 2 decades?
Well, I thought last year that they established themselves as an upper echelon SEC team again after, the dip since 2019. But, I think what you're talking about now is maybe making themselves an elite program nationally again. And you mentioned kind of the deficiencies defensively. We all know about the secondary. But having the kind of success that Brian Kelly's already had in his short time in Baton Rouge, and what that signals, to the recruits out there, the guys that want to come in and play in the secondary at DBU. I mean, it's just going to be a continued selling point for that program. And certainly I've really been impressed last year and this year with the improvement that the team seems to make throughout the season.
All right, if you want to listen to CD and I break down the SEC, we'll be on Off Campus today. Now it's going to be 3 to 6 Eastern time on Channel 84 on Sirius XM. Also pre-gaming the SEC this weekend. I hear a final boarding call there for CD as he's trying to get on a flight. Hey, CD, real quick, you were at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. You didn't call the Hogs this week, did you?
I did not call the Hogs. They were very kind to have me out there, man. It's one of the best groups that you get a chance to visit with, and I was tempted to call them, but I thought that might have been a little fraudulent, so I didn't go that far.
All right, final boarding call there. I don't want you to get stuck in Charlotte because you're going to be back in Charlotte again tomorrow because that's the way that your schedule works. CD, I'll talk to you a bunch later today.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.
All right, there he is, Chris Doering, as he's going from Little Rock to Charlotte to go back to Gainesville. We're going to do 3 hours of radio and then later on an hour and a half of podcasting. Then he's going to jump right back on. Well, then Thursday morning, he's got a mortgage company that he's got to run every single day. Then he hops back on a plane to Charlotte where he is currently right now. And so that is the life of one Christopher Paul Doering. All right, let's go ahead and take our last break of the show. We're going to end it like we do every single day. Ask the Bench, brought to you by Cole Coors Light, Vizzy Hard Seltzer, Blue Moon, Light Sky, Citrus Wheat. We'll have that for you. Get your questions inside the Bayou Ford chat. We'll have it for you to end the show here on OTB.
OTB, OT.
All right, go to centralplumbing.org, centralplumbing.org. That is the website where you'll find all the information we tell you about with Central Plumbing because, yes, 24/7, 365 means they will come out regardless of when it is if you have a plumbing emergency, even during an LSU Alabama game on the weekend. Saturday, maybe you got people over watching the game and you have a situation on your hands. Well, they'll come out, and they'll come out on Thanksgiving. They'll come out on Christmas because 24/7, 365, well, that's exactly what that means. 225-925-8552 is that number. But also if you're looking to remodel, maybe it's at your house, maybe it's at your business, whatever the situation might be, if it's one room or if it's 10 restrooms, they can handle that. They are ready to go. You'll see that right when you log on to centralplumbing.org. They got the vans lined up and ready to go. The fleet is ready for whatever job you have. Check out their website again at centralplumbing.org, and always that number 225-925-8552.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Brian Kelly and Nick Saban update their team's preparations. Russ Mitchell previews the weekend ahead in the SEC. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
All right, welcome back in Ask the Bench. But before we get there, I want to remind you, go to AccuTempBR.com. AccuTempBR.com. The weather's getting colder. You're going to turn that heater on for the first time. Make sure it is working the way it's supposed to. And if you're part of the Star membership program, well, AccuTemp can promise you it's going to be doing just that. AccuTempBR.com. Go to that website to schedule that appointment today. One of the, we always have, like, every week there's like a fun stat. It's just stat of the week. And this week it's been the stat that the last starting quarterback to beat Nick Saban, back-to-back seasons, Drew Brees at Purdue in 98 and 99. And so we've already said that a couple times, just said it with Chris Doering. But I did see Drew Brees' last Instagram post is him in his Purdue uniform with a rose in his mouth because he went to the Rose Bowl that year with the stat in the post. And it also says, "Go Tigers" at LSU football. So Drew Brees, he's a real one.
Hell yeah.
For LSU there.
So many links between LSU and Nick Saban and Drew Brees. It's crazy.
That's also very, very true. And thankfully, he decided on Dante Culpepper.
Yes. Shout out to the doctor who didn't know his hand, what did he
shoulder.
Say? His shoulder.
Yeah.
No, but Saban had some saying that said like he didn't know his hand from his ass or something.
Yeah. A lot of different ways this thing could have gone if the Dolphins signed Drew Brees, but they did not, and Saints have a Super Bowl because of it. Let's see. Ask the Bench, is it true that T-Bob got a second cast audition for Simba and the Lion King, and as we speak, he is in New York? No, but that'd be great if he did. And let me just tell you, if he got that call, he would not be here. He would certainly be in New York. Ask the Bench, can Milroe match Daniels' big pass for big pass?
I'm going to say no. They're different types of players, but he doesn't have to. I mean, we just talked about it. He's a guy that runs around, waits for something to happen. If not, he can take off. Jaden can certainly do that too. And Milroe's been great downfield passing. I think what separates him is Jaden's ability to read the routes across the middle. That was his big issue last year. He wasn't hitting the intermediate throws Milroe's still not, so no, I don't think you can match him throw for throw.
If anything, for the sake of the show, I'll disagree. I think Milroe's playing with a lot of confidence right now. He's at home. I think he can, to an extent, match Jaden Daniels. LSU's defense is going to have to step up.
Let's see. Can't ask that one.
Ask the bench. Will the basketball gods spite me like they love to do and make Chet Holmgren have a great game against the Pelicans tonight?
Without question, he's going to go for 20 and 15. Probably tonight because you hated on Chet.
I can see it
so much last year. He's actually played pretty well.
He's putting up good numbers.
That's a good team.
Yeah, man.
They got some fun, exciting young players that last year probably overachieved to how young they were, and now it's paying dividends off, and they're going to be salty.
Well, they did it without Chet for most of the season last year.
I mean, he didn't play at all last year.
So, I mean,
because he got hurt in a pickup game.
Yeah. Giddy, Alexander, they got some good pieces over there for sure.
Ask the bench, when does Mario break the seal and start playing Christmas music? The day after Thanksgiving, the show after Thanksgiving. Isn't that when we typically do it?
Yeah, I think so.
That's appropriate.
Yeah, again, like we played Halloween all October, and I don't know that was the best way to do that.
Did y'all see Mariah Carey's Instagram post? It was her in a block of ice, and they unthawed her, and it was like at midnight, November 1st, and then she started singing her song.
The Mariah Carey memes are great. I've seen the one of her in the hyperbolic chamber from Dragon Ball Z.
Ask the bench, do we really want LSU to try to blitz Milroe or just control the pocket by letting the front four work? You get in trouble. You get in some trouble because he is so good with the chaos around him. I personally think that's when he's at his best. Now, Alabama's offensive line is not good this year. Not even not to their standard, they're just not good. Like they have really struggled, but he does a really nice job of if you blitz him, he'll find a way to get loose enough and he'll still throw the ball down the field. He escapes to throw, not to run. Like look at his rushing total. So I don't think that's actually the best case.
Well, we talked about it earlier, and it was like LSU's D-line's not great at rushing the passer anyway, so it might play in their favor.
Ask the bench, you guys going hunting this weekend? If this was 20 years ago, before I started playing and covering football, yeah, every weekend in the fall, like you would catch me doing that. But since I, have a job that I have to pay attention on Saturdays a lot, and you have good intentions to go hunting, no, that doesn't. Taylor,
not this weekend. A little bit, not as much as I used to. Like back in high school, I did it a lot more, but from time to time. Yeah.
Well, we know Mario's a hunter, but that's a different kind of hunting that they're asking about. Nope, not gonna ask that. Not throwing shade at my boy T-Bob. Looks like he had a good time trick-or-treating last night, though. T-Bob thrives on Halloween, right?
Yes.
Like I bet he is so good in the neighborhood.
I bet.
He did a show yesterday in full wizard costume. And he'll be back tomorrow, we think. Thanks for joining us on OTB.
OTB, OT.
All right, go to RejuveMeMedical.com. RejuveMeMedical.com. That is the website for the age-defying clinic there. Restore me, refuel me, rejuve me. Get that consultation set up. And there's things that you're going to deal with that you maybe just don't understand. You're feeling a certain type of way. You feel like you're off, but you don't know what that off is. Well, they're going to help you get to the bottom of it quick and easy. Everybody that we've had that's gone through the process is telling you the same thing. You are in and you are out as far as going and getting that blood drawn so they can help you get on a path to feeling like your youthful self, right? So many different things that they can deal with, so many different things that they see that they can help you with. You can text them at 225-442-0646, 442-0646 here in Baton Rouge as well. You can always, again, go to RejuveMeMedical.com. You can get that consultation set up right there on the site, RejuveMeMedical.com.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme.